stuff with
what
them.
did I say this morning about that?
You say, "Wow, I think I'm gonna say that I'm done getting after the Angels."
They're 10 games out of the wild card. It's not fun anymore. It's just
like,
piling
do something.
on. Yeah, it's just,
it was what we probably hoped for. I mean, I've said this before. I really want to see the Angels make the playoffs. But what you at least at the absolute worst wanted to see was, can it be interesting with a couple weeks to go? They're like, no, it can't.
10 games.
10 games.
Of the they're nearly as close to the division top as they are to the wild card. They're 11 out of the division.
How long ago were you on vacation?
This 3 weeks ago?
They were 3 games back. They were 3 back 3 weeks ago. That's a lot of work to go from 3 to 10 in that short amount of time.
And it's much harder to go up than it is to go down. It's easy to go down. You just have to play like you know what, and you'll go down. But to go up, you got to play really well, and you got to have everybody else kind of at best play average. And the Seattle Mariners, I don't think, are ever going to lose again. They've won 900 in a row. That seems to be a bit of a problem. There's a lot going on in that. But I think I'm done. I think I'm out. I want to watch Shohei hit home runs.
Yeah.
He's going to pitch tonight or this afternoon. They have a doubleheader today. I'm not sure which. But after that, they seeing if they're going to blow it. But they did.
This is the bully getting tired of being a bully. You're
I guess
just like,
so.
well, this isn't giving me the satisfaction anymore.
Exactly. It's not fun anymore.
It's not fulfilling.
It's not.
Yeah, these punches aren't landing the same way as they used to.
I've matured. I've grown out of my 1980s. Right. Giving wedgies and noogies isn't satisfying me anymore. I need more out of life, Em.
I didn't know you were going to go straight to the Angels like that.
I wasn't planning on it.
Yeah, because I wanted to transition a little bit to, if Emily was angry at you because of the Cowboy situation,
right?
Even though you had nothing to do with it.
Nor am I a Cowboy fan.
Right. I felt like in my brief conversation with her about Swamp Kings and kind of the narrative there, I felt
acting like I woke up in a bad mood. I woke
no,
up
you
in
didn't.
actually
No,
a
you
great
didn't.
mood today.
Your passion is what we need.
No, not
your
a bad
passion
mood,
is
just
very
animated.
passionate about certain things.
Yes.
But when I kind of started talking about it, I was like, wow, maybe I should just go back to the studio and we'll get to it when we get to it.
No.
What did you get?
I mean, how you going to write a full thing and this is all you have on this individual?
It's a fair question.
Is this just basically like a fluff piece for the Florida Gators program?
Seems like
kind
it.
of fair. By the way.
I needed less Urban
Kinda
Meyer.
fair.
Honestly, if Urban Meyer was not a part of this documentary at all, and they just had everybody else talking about Urban Meyer, would have been a much better documentary to me. Because I think that and I was talking to you about this, Travis, is that like, there's a lot of these images, video of them in the weight room, and videos of them doing these crazy drills. And you're like, yeah, we were treating them like it was the military.
One guy's like, I thought we were going to Iraq.
I want somebody's parents to sit down and be interviewed about, after seeing that footage of what their child went through. Obviously, they won 2 championships. You have that there.
Emily,
went
you're
to
leaving
NFL.
out they won football games. I mean,
what the
let's
heck?
cut to the most important part. They're winning games, so therefore it's all good.
Yes, exactly. So I want one person's parent to be interviewed. I want one person to talk about, the people that maybe were affected by these football players, not just the football players themselves. That kind of stuff is
and for those who don't know, we mentioned a couple times this week, Swamp Kings. It's a 4-part documentary on Netflix, and it's going through their era of obviously Urban Meyer.
At the 06 to 09.
Yeah, 06 to 09, and kind of the ups and the downs and the struggles and the this. But it is SB Nation put something out on what basically Swamp Kings is, and this is going to completely deter you from wanting to watch it. I'm already out. I saw 2 episodes yesterday. Emily watched all 4 yesterday. It says Swamp Kings is just an Urban Meyer PR revival attempt.
Yeah.
I don't think that's that far from what it is.
And it's a good way, if you have no idea what happened with the Gators in that period of time, it does do a good job of telling the football on the field, what they were doing in terms of like how they motivated these guys, the games they won, the games they lost, what it was like to be in the SEC at that time. That I think is handled okay.
I'll just say this as somebody that I don't have that much knowledge or history on the Florida Gators, nor do I care, especially in that era as well. I know what they did and what they accomplished. I could go into it open-minded about, okay, hey, this is an interesting kind of stage of college football. They had only won 1 before that. the matchups against Spurrier, the matchups in the SEC. There's something about that draws me towards it because that's a different world when it comes to football. The argument of, I don't need a PR piece for Urban Meyer. How is Aaron Hernandez not more a part of this? That I understand it. It does not take that angle pretty much at all.
Can I have the kicker who was kicked by Urban Meyer at the Jaguars just have one little section of this?
That's more interesting to me. The trip to the bar in Cincinnati is more interesting
Let's talk to that girl.
me. That Urban Meyer is a good football coach, I know. No one's ever argued
And by
that he's
any
a good
means
football
necessary.
coach. He's a really good football coach. That not an NFL, but he was good at Bowling Green. He was good at Utah. He was good at Florida. He was good at Ohio State. He's a good football coach. There's no arguing that. I don't really care.
Ranks.
There's a lot of good football coach. I don't really have a ton of interest in that. Emily did a thing yesterday that I appreciate, where you texted me after I think you'd watched a couple of the.
I'd watched 2, and I was in the middle of the 3rd.
2, and she says started Swamp King. And it was kind of her review was kind of meh, and I'm like, all right. So I started to watch it, and then she reminded me, and I turned it on. And I watched the first 10 or 15 minutes of the first one, and then she hits me back with them, and she goes, I just finished it. There's no Aaron Hernandez at all,
Virtually
except for a very small portion in episode number 3. It's like telling the story of the Buffalo Bills and only mentioning that O.J. Simpson ran for 2,000 yards one year. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, he did, but that's not what we're remembering him for.
Right.
There are other things that are far more compelling and interesting material for a documentary, so I don't think I will revisit it.
And just how close Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer were. It's just kind of like my view of that documentary after I see it. It's like they were incredibly close. They were a team, Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow. And I felt like over and over again, they're like, Tim Tebow is a leader, but they need someone to help him. It's because there was a disconnect between Tim Tebow and the rest of that Gators team, and I wanted them to like kind of explore that a little bit more because I think we can all understand the differences between Tim Tebow and the rest of that Florida team.
I'm genuinely asking you this. Have you ever thought about making a doc? Have you ever thought about that being a lane of something that you'd want to pursue? Because you have the vision of what you want from these things going into them that I think is, at least to my sensibilities, more interesting than a hagiography of Urban Meyer.
I actually did have a focus in documentary filmmaking at UVA, and I did make short docs at UVA and then went to work for NFL Films. So I have that kind of stuff.
There you go.
I will say this. There's a time and a place, and I think if you're doing a documentary, hypothetically, and it's on, because I think this is the same group that did The Malice in the Palace, right?
Yes,
the same
Untold.
group that did the Johnny Manziel.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, I think this is the problem that you're having with this. You can't have an era that includes all these side stories and they're barely brought up.
The
right?
era of Florida football is defined by the mayhem of their players and Tim Tebow.
Their success.
Right. That's fine.
Which is okay. It's all kind of put together. You can weave in the success and the mayhem.
Has to be a part of it.
That's the, I guess, the best example then maybe to put out there is you're doing the story about the Malice in the Palace and you leave out some, oh, we're not going to show this footage. Oh, we're not going to pay attention to this. Oh, no, let's just really focus on how Jermaine O'Neal was A,
we're
B,
not
or
talking
C
about
or whatever
the
it is.
legacy of David Stern.
Right.
You know, what his rulings were over time as a commissioner.
It's
I think I'll still watch. I think I'll finish it off.
Malice at the Palace without talking about Ron Artest.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
This is he was the reason that this thing became what it became. He was the one that sparked the whole thing, and Aaron Hernandez to that era. Tebow's the best player, the most memorable player, but Hernandez was representative of what was going on there when it wasn't just between the lines.
There's a lot of Brandon Seiler. There's a lot of
he seemed like a likable
Spikes.
guy.
Yeah. No, they all
Seiler's
seemed
interesting.
like a guy.
Yeah.
I think that they're stories that are interesting to be told. But going into the documentary, just think you're seeing literally you see every single game of those 3 years. Like you see a clip of Tennessee versus Florida. I don't care. Just show me the big major moments. Obviously, I wanted to see the game where Tim Tebow's like, "I'm so sorry, I'm never going to do that again."
The speech.
Whatever. Yeah,
Yep.
the speech, the Urban Meyer stuff. There's certain things I needed to see, but I didn't need to see all of that.
Seiler, guy scares me.
Intense.
Yeah.
Intense. There's a reason he was kind of the guy that Meyer leaned on, but
Did he say he punched the dude after one of the games? He punched one of their own guys.
Yeah, in the locker room. Yeah.
well,
He said you got to hold people accountable. I'm like,
It was intense.
okay,
that's one way to
All
do
right.
it. I mean, I guess that would work.
And again, that spills
square 'em
into
up.
how they act in the Florida Gainesville area.
It's interesting. It is Kobe Bryant's birthday today. Obviously, tomorrow is Kobe Bryant Day, 8/24.
Yep.
And like we have every year at this time, all of the numbers and all of the accomplishments start coming
Sure.
out, and all of the memories. And we're gonna spend a lot of time on that today. Obviously, there's a lot to get to. Dodgers have their thing that I mentioned yesterday that I most worry about pop up again today.
How about that timing?
Told you. Look, I'm always going to remember the times that I'm right. The rest of it, I have a very bad memory. But when I'm right, I'm going to remember.
Can I tell you something? We'll obviously get into it, but when it was all unfolding last night, I'm like, what, did they listen to the show 30 minutes ago?
I texted Greg, corporate Greg, as it was happening. I'm like, would you like to change your answer? Because it's happening right now in front of you. Dave had some things to say about it. It's all coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Football season's about to kick off, and FanDuel's giving you the chance to win all season long. Because right now, when you bet on a Super Bowl winner, you can get bonus bets every time they win in the regular season. So win FanDuel.com/play and start earning bonus bets with America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/play.
from him. I can't sit here and be like, I'm the greatest Laker ever. To me, he is because.
So you guys know you're the greatest Laker.
Without him,
you're the greatest Laker.
I got to keep it real with you. Like I've stole so much from him. That my game wouldn't be complete without him. So.
I was thinking about this today. Your numbers 8 and 24, which, first of all, I wonder, I know that in basketball, no single team has ever retired 2 numbers, but I wonder if it's happened in any sport at all. Do you have any idea? I don't think it has. I looked it up and tried to figure it out, but it also adds up to Magic's number 32. Is that a coincidence?
Wow.
Well, I think probably it is, based on your reaction. This is the first you're hearing it.
I'm just marveling at the depth
of
that observation.
Right. Well, see, one of the great things about me is I can add.
Yeah. All right. So based off that conversation, I have a couple questions for you guys today. But my first one is: do you think that Kobe is the greatest Laker of all time?
Well, I think the short answer is your favorite Laker is probably generational, right? If you're roughly my dad's age, you're probably a Jerry West guy.
Yeah.
If you're a little bit younger than my dad, you might be a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar guy. If you're my age, you're probably Magic. If they're your age, you're probably Kobe, right? And this is how it's going to break down generationally, I think. But when you look at the numbers, it's really not even close. It's Kobe Bryant, right? He's number 1 or number 2 in virtually
every category.
Everything.
Actually, I think the only number 2 I see in there is assists.
Yeah, and you're talking about one
Magic.
of the great point guards of all time. Kobe
Not
Bryant wasn't a point guard. So that your favorite is different than best. When it just comes down to the best guy ever to wear that uniform, I really don't think there's – I mean, other great players to be sure, but it's Kobe and everyone's fighting for second as far as accomplishments.
Look at a lot of those other players. Who would really just be even in the conversation? Conversation would be Kareem, Magic, and Kobe. And a lot of that has to do with just the duration and what they accomplished over that time with the Lakers. Kobe wore 1 jersey, and he was there for 20 years. Mm-hmm. If Magic ended up playing 16, 17 years with the Lakers, maybe his numbers look completely different. Maybe he had 6 NBA championships, whatever it is, right? I think the fact that Kobe, what made it so unique, too, it's 2 different eras. You got Kobe and Shaq and whatever that era was. Then you got a completely different era with Kobe and Powell. But the duration of 20 years, Trav, I'm with you. I don't think it's an argument. Now, what you can say is, who's your favorite Laker of all time? I loved me some Magic Johnson. That was just the style of play and everything else. Kobe was more of a Jordan type of player. Magic was kind of his own type of, it's kind of there's no replica of what he did. He kind of created this point guard that's 6'9", that could do this, do that. But I think the greatest, I'm with you. I don't think it's an argument. It's Kobe.
Yeah, favorite and greatest are different. And depending on what you like, right? For me, one of the things that I think Magic is why he's as popular as he's always been and why Steph Curry is as popular as he is and some other – and I think LeBron falls into this category too. They play with joy. They play with enthusiasm. They play, and you watch them play, and you can tell they love being out there. And they're mad. Not that they aren't ruthlessly competitive. They are, but there's a stylistic element of joy that they play with, where Jordan and Kobe and some other guys play with an absolute maniacal, almost rage when they were out there. That is an intensity that is, quite frankly, a little jarring if you're not ready for it.
Can't hide it either.
You can't hide it. They're not out there to have fun. They're there to take your soul. That's different. And Magic wanted to win, and Steph Curry wants to win, and LeBron wants to win. It's not that, but Kobe and Jordan were just different about that. They wanted to take something from you, not just win the game. And I think if that's appealing to you, you're always going to gravitate towards
reminds
Kobe.
me of that clip we all saw when he's sitting in the bench and Chris Rock is talking to him. He's paying no attention to him. He's focused on the game, sweating, and it's just like, man, this guy is focused in the game, and he's going to figure out a way of winning. If they were losing that game, I don't remember. But.
Well, of all the accomplishments, right, of all the things that he did on the court,
I know where you're going with that one.
He's probably most well known for Mamba mentality, right? And that we all know what it means. We all know that it's that maniacal commitment to excellence and achievement, and it's not avoiding failure. People fail. He knows that. We have the 10 practices of Kobe Bryant on the wall out there, and one of them is learn from your failures, right? That it was this. I might fail, but I'm not going to fail the next time. And even if I fail the next time, it's not going to be the time after that. That relentless pursuit of perfection might not be attainable, but they chase it in a way, and that's what he's most well known for. Not the 5 titles, which is bananas.
Yeah.
Not the MVP, but he's most well known for being relentless in the pursuit of excellence.
It's kind of crazy. Only had one MVP.
It is.
There's a lot of people that you know Kobe, and you know some of his stories. But to play off of what you just said, I mean, think about his first year in the NBA. He's in the playoffs against the Utah Jazz. Airballs 4 times in a row. Is the guy willing to take the shot? Not Eddie Jones, Nick Van Exel, Shaquille O'Neal, all these guys. It's Kobe. Does that not say? Did that moment kind of cave his career? It did nothing to his career. It's like, yeah, I missed the shots. Next year when I have the ball again and I'm now 19 years old, I'm going to try it again and see if anything else changes.
He knew so much sooner than the rest of us. So much sooner. And we'll talk about a lot of this stuff today. It's Kobe's birthday. He would have been 45 years old today. And look, it wasn't that long ago where this city was kind of split in half. You a Shaq guy, you a Kobe guy. That they were at odds, and they were, somebody was going to go. Which guy's got to go? And it was split. And, going back to it felt like it was about 50-50. And
I was on the wrong side.
I think a lot of people were. I think about half the people were. He was right yet again. We'll get into all of that. Plus, the Dodger thing that I was most worried about reared up yesterday. That's coming up next. It's 710 ESPN. If you get hurt in an accident, call Sweet James, right? It's confusing. It's scary. You might be injured, and you're just not quite sure what to do next. The insurance company's calling you. They want to get this thing done. This is why you got to call Sweet James. 1-800-9-MILLION. 1-800-9-MILLION. You do not want to take on the insurance companies by yourself. They're not looking out for you the way that they're supposed to. Sweet James is going to make sure that you get what you need, which is the experience, right? Nearly 20 years of doing this, a winning record. He's collected over $1 billion in settlements in that nearly 20-year career. That's billion with a B. You heard me right. $1 billion. He's taken in more in 1 year than most firms do in their entire lifetime. So if you're hurt in an accident, make the call that I've made, make the call that my friends have made, and call the accident attorneys at Sweet James. 1-800-9-MILLION. That's 1-800-9-MILLION. 1-800-900-0000. Sweet James has been awarded Best Attorneys in America and Personal Injury. It's all that they do. So if you're hurt in a car, truck, motorcycle, dog bite, whatever it might be, call the accident attorneys at Sweet James at 1-800-9-MILLION.
710 ESPN.
Ooh, I like this, Slee. If you want to be in the house to watch USC kick off the season on Saturday at the Coliseum, be sure that you listen to our show and Sedano and Cap tomorrow for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets. It's Trojans Ticket Thursday.
There you go.
Tomorrow on 710 ESPN. And you know why the Trojans are... By the way, you might need to win those tickets to see it because it's on the Pac-12 network on TV.
Well, that's going to end
Which
soon.
is the reason they're going to the Big Ten in the first place, essentially, that they couldn't put together their own package to make all of their teams crazy rich the way the other ones are.
This is so odd that I haven't really thought too much about it, but now that you're getting ready for the season to start college football, Pac-12 is done. Mm-hmm. It's dead.
Last year.
And they still have one more year left. Like, it's kind of funny. It's like we broke up. It's done, but our
haven't
lease
moved out yet.
Our lease doesn't end.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
committed. We have 6 months left on the lease. Nobody wants to double pay any of that
A friend of mine
stuff.
was in that situation, actually.
Why don't we just stay together for the next 6 months?
We can save on rent. It's going to be expensive for both
You
of us.
take the
if we need to
couch, I
move.
take the bed.
Right.
We're good.
Who the hell's this guy? Well,
Well-
I thought we separated.
I've always thought that's it right there. What you just said. So Emily, you said you had a friend that was in this situation.
Yes.
So couples break up, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right. Whether you're just living together, whether you're married or whatever it is, and you decide, this isn't working out. We're going to go our separate ways. And frequently, especially married couples, will continue to live in the same house together because it just makes economic sense, right? It's just it's gonna wipe us both out if we have to each go get our own places. So let's stay together. When the relationship is over, how do you, and you're still living under the same roof, how does that work? Like you can't go out, meet somebody and say, let's go back to my place. That's not an option. Like, how do you always have to take, is it always an away game at that point?
What's that movie? There was a movie with Vince Vaughn.
Oh, yeah.
The breakup.
Yeah, the breakup.
Jennifer Aniston? Yeah, that's what it was.
It's
yeah.
Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm 100% sure it's Jennifer Aniston.
So,
He's never been more sure in his life.
Yep. Yeah. So she decided to always an away game. She would go on dates and go and spend time with people
Sure.
outside of.
But don't you want a home game occasionally? It's just
No, I
Yeah.
think, but I think the road game is technically the Pac-12 network.
It's not good for anybody.
Nobody's going to see it. It's not good for anybody. So
Help us
Yeah.
out with that. I want to know just the logistics of that
They
situation.
had
That seems
they had a
highly
dog
complicated.
together too, and so she just recently though moved out. So good for her.
Imagine
Okay.
if you share a car. Like, how do you do it?
They did share a car.
How do you do
Wow.
any of it? Like that's
She
where
just
I
stopped
sit on
using
the
her
couch.
car.
Not anymore. We had an agreement. That's my spot.
I get it Mondays and Tuesdays. You get it Thursdays and Fridays.
Speaking of, did you take the bus to work again today, Em?
I did.
And are you now a regular bus person?
I think I'm gonna be a bus to work person and like a simple bus trip person. So if it's anywhere downtown, I'll probably take the bus. If it's anywhere like close to downtown area, I'll probably take the bus where I live. I'm not sure if I'm gonna turn into let's use the bus to go to
Full-time,
Yeah, if you're
Santa
going to the
Monica.
beach in Malibu, you're
like,
probably
you
not.
can definitely do it. And obviously, if I was like if I was gonna go drinking, or if I was going to want to avoid traffic myself or something like that, I might take the bus. But now that I know that's a possibility that I can do, I think it's better.
How do you spend your bus time?
I just listen to podcasts
Okay.
and I keep my wits about me.
Watch Swamp
Is it Locked
Kings.
on Rams?
Yeah, of course. It's locked on. I watch the YouTube version.
Swamp Kings and Locked on Rams. She goes back and forth.
Okay, today. So I listened to this thing called the Daily Drive on Spotify. So Spotify makes this list of both news and music that you like. So news podcasts you listen to / music that you already
So
listen to.
basically, morning radio.
Yeah, essentially. But they have repurposed it.
Your music, yes.
Right, exactly. So it's more personalized, I guess. But they had this story from the Wall Street Journal where there are a lot more close calls at airports than
Oh, I skipped over that. I
Yeah.
saw that story. Nope,
Yeah.
I'm out.
So there's a
Nope.
lot more close calls at airports than we realized before. So especially with there's more flights going in because of COVID. Like it kind of spiked everyone's desire to travel. So there's more flights going out. So there's way more times when your plane is a lot closer to other planes. Than
Oh,
we
that's
expect.
comfortable.
I have a cousin who's an air traffic controller.
Yeah.
That's his job. And he says, you don't want to know. I'm like, yep, I'm good. I really don't. So I saw that that article. I'm like, no. And all the you see the graphic with all the dots?
Yep.
I'm like, oh, hell no.
It reminds me of ABQ episode of Breaking Bad. You know, at the end of
I don't know the names of the episodes.
season 3, maybe.
Oh, where
the dad.
Yeah. That's not great.
Yeah.
That's not great. That's a
spoiler alert.
That's a tough episode to get to because the whole series. There's that teddy bear in the pool. You're like, well, how did that get there?
Happen?
It's a lot.
Speaking of morning radio, do you catch yourself listening to the radio when you're driving in, or you're just on a podcast, or because I do.
Or silence?
Yeah,
I do silence occasionally. I'm more podcast in the morning because I want very specific things.
Okay.
I want to get prepped on the day. Going home is more radio.
Okay.
Podcasts.
No.
Yeah, podcasts, YouTube a lot, stuff like that. I mean, a lot of YouTube, you're not watching it. There's just a 20-minute of whatever political talk. Click it and let it go.
I'm between 3 radio stations on the way here. The traffic one and then a music one.
The traffic one is
that's good.
Well,
yeah.
it's essential in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I need to know why I'm stopped. I need to know if I'm a mile away from it or I'm 10 miles away from it so I can get around it. Let's try a phone call here. Let's go to Brandon, who's on the road. Brandon, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Hey, what's up, Paul?
Slee, in honor of Mamba Day, man, I'm interested, man, in the conversation that you guys just had about favorites versus greatest, right? Mm-hmm. So in that conversation, where do you rank Kobe all time? Top 5, top 10? Because a lot of people I have that debate with, they sound like they're saying that he's his favorite and therefore he's number 1 greatest. So can you distinguish that and rank Kobe for me? Because I don't know, man. I'm back and forth. I'm a Kobe guy, man, but I don't know.
Appreciate you calling in. Yeah, I actually never looked at Kobe as, hey, this is the greatest to ever do it. I never did. And it's tough for me if I'm sitting here with Michael Thompson, Trav, he's going to have a different era of basketball, and he's going to say, you're crazy if you don't put these guys in it. I never saw them play. Mm-hmm. So I'm basically just taking somebody's opinion on it. But if you said I'm starting a franchise tomorrow, and you said Magic or Kobe, I'd go Magic. That's my personal opinion. I'd go Magic. Different kind of characteristics that he brings to the table. If you told me tomorrow, but this is more of a stylistic, like the style of play. If you told me tomorrow LeBron or Kobe, I'd go LeBron. But that's stylistic. There's a type of game or there's a type of play that I think in the grand scheme of things, if you're saying there's 7 seconds left in the game, I don't want Magic or LeBron. I'd rather have Kobe have it. LeBron and Magic might make the right decision. Kobe's going to say, I'm taking the shot, and the shot's going in. So I think for me, when you start kind of ranking greatest of all time, everybody's going to do it based on eras and everything else. I never have looked at Kobe saying, hey, he's the top 5 greatest to ever do it. Somebody makes an argument for it. Why would I even take a second to complain against them?
Yeah, I think, look, if you listen to people that do know the NBA in its entirety, and if you found 100 NBA experts that know it from the time that it became what it is today to when it started, and you said, give me the 5 best players, I think we're going to get a consistent group of the 5 best players, which is Jordan, which is LeBron, which is Chamberlain, and Kareem.
Yep.
Those 4 or 5 guys are going to show up on almost everybody's list. Mm-hmm. If you had put it out to 10, I think Kobe's going to start showing up a lot in that next group.
I think he's on that.
I think he's in that next group. And if you push it out to 12 or 15, he's on virtually all of those, right? And Tim Duncan's on all of those. And
Hakeem and go.
You're just getting into that territory. He's probably not landing in the top 5 on that, but he's not landing outside of the top 10 very often either. So I haven't seen it all either, but the people that know that, they almost all of them have the same top 4 or 5. And then after that, I think everybody's going to show up there. So I think that's kind of where, without having seen them all, I'll just take their word for it. He's not the best player I ever saw. Best player I ever saw it's Jordan and LeBron, and it depends on which day you ask me. I go back and forth. It depends on what mood I'm in, because there are times, if I see a Jordan highlight the night before, it's Jordan. Because I saw it. I lived through it. Yeah. If I watched a Laker game the night before or saw some highlights of LeBron in Miami, it's like, oh, no, it's LeBron. It's just, those are the 2 greatest guys that I ever saw.
I do like that. By the way, I do like what you just said. If you go look at other people, they give their opinion. They've been around multiple eras. I like to weigh more on that person because I always go back to this with Michael Thompson. Michael saw every game Kobe played.
Yeah.
He saw every game, most likely Jordan, Magic, these other guys. Wilt Chamberlain. Like, he could go back eras, Kareem, that I just can't go back to, and I could only kind of give you, from 90s moving forward.
Ask Corporate Greg coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
All right, Sierra Subaru of Monrovia. We've had a partnership now for about 4 months now. Really, really appreciate what these guys are doing within the community. Every single month, they're helping out different organizations. And in the month of August, they're working with Little Angels Service Dogs. It's actually a really, really great cause. You can learn more at sierrasubaru.com. It's not just selling cars. It's not just about the product. It's what can you do within the community. I've now a couple different months have hooked up with them, whether it's their homeless drive where we were working with Project Roja, and we were bringing in clothes for some of the homeless around Southern California. We've done a bunch of different things, and that really is their initiative. Now, from a vehicle perspective, I just recently took out the 2023 all-electric Solterra. I'm up and down Southern California, a lot of trips down to San Diego, Joshua Tree, Lake Arrowhead, whatever the case is. What a great car. All-wheel drive, beautiful interior, super smooth ride, perfect for all those road trips that you're on, and perfect for any family out there. Go check out all the different models that they have. Just go to the website, Sierra Subaru of Monrovia, and the website is sierrasubaru.com. That's sierrasubaru.com.
You never have to miss a moment.
Funner, California. From dining to unwinding, you'll find fun around every corner. Learn more at harrissocal.com. Let's do it for a Wednesday. Ask Berg right now.
Hi, Greg.
Hi, Trav.
You ready for this?
I'm always ready. These are always.
I like that you don't know what makes you tick or what makes you.
I don't know at all. So let's all find out
Greg
together.
actually
right?
uses Ask Berg to learn about himself.
It's a little like therapy.
Yeah, it's exactly. I'm on the couch right now. I got my pillow behind me, and I'm ready to go.
Just take your shoes off and relax.
I mean, you want me to? I can. I don't know if you want the smell, but it's really
probably not.
Say take your socks off.
Manson the Clown goes first.
Oh God, man, I love you, Manson.
You die and come back to life as either a chicken or a pig. Which animal do you choose and why?
Oh man, I'm gonna come back as a pig.
I think that's
because
right.
you just eat everything.
Right.
You lay around and slop all day with
Right.
mud.
You
do
never
whatever you
see
want.
the sky, though.
What do you mean?
Where your face is down in the ground.
Oh
You
yeah.
ever see a pig
so you
look
never,
up?
Yeah.
They're always looking down.
I've never thought about that, but also like
I've seen a
kind
pig
of like
sit in a
dogs.
chair.
Pigs are
Cross
kind
his legs.
of pigs are kind of like dogs too. Like that's a pet. You can have a pig as a
Yes.
pet, and they are very cuddly.
And
so
they're
I'll be a pig.
They have, I don't know what the lifespan of a pig is, but I'm guessing it's far longer than a chicken.
Sure, and also
Right?
like chickens get their heads cut off and they run around.
But if you're
Well,
a chicken, you
pig-
can run away.
Yeah, pig at 7.2 years.
7.2?
I don't know.
I thought you actually Googled that real
I have no
fast.
idea.
Pigs, the other thing, pigs are really smart.
Yes, very smart.
Yeah.
very smart animals.
Pig is the right answer.
So maybe I should have gone with chickens, but no, pig, absolutely.
Starfish and Coffee has, I got dumped at a Dodgers game a couple weeks ago. Sorry, buddy.
Sorry, man.
Where is the worst place someone's ever dumped you?
Wow, worst. God, it's happened so many times. Let's see.
He has a power rankings.
I got
Should be
it. All right,
top
so
10.
so here's one number 3.
2009.
That was a bad day, Slee. The
bad.
worst place I've ever been dumped at a place. Most of them have been pretty normal, just like a phone call or a text.
Yeah, in
or-
your car when you're like dropping
Is
her
that
off. She's
normal?
like, that's it.
Is
This
that
is
normal
it.
to get break up by text now?
Yeah. Oh no, everything's done by text now.
Like, hey,
The last.
you don't have, is there like a certain level of intimacy you have to achieve to not break up by
Yeah, but
text?
that's when it matters. Like, what is technically breaking up? If you were together for 6 months or longer, is 1 month breaking up? Or is that just ending?
No, I think breaking up means it's like known. That's my girlfriend.
That's
right?
my
you have an
because
girlfriend.
exclusive relationship
because
that
it's
is
very
known to others.
it's very easily where you could have been hanging out with somebody for a month or so, and then she just stops texting you.
ghost
It's
you.
like, all right, well that I don't think that's a good sign.
So no, I mean, like, so I've only had probably about 3 or 4 big actual, like, that's my girlfriend. This is a big thing. Like 3 years, 5 years, 4 years, those type of relationships, and they've all been phone calls or in person. So nothing really terrible like that. I think being at a baseball game would be awful.
The Matterhorn at Disneyland or anything like that.
I don't want to be in this anymore.
A flight.
Something, a flight. That would be the word.
And then you have to be quiet the whole way. God,
And
that'd
a
be.
flight to vacation instead of from vacation.
Well, you're a monster
God.
if you're breaking up on the way to a vacation. That's
hey,
aggressive.
maybe that was
So-
just their straw.
I have broken up with someone on vacation.
On your way to the
No, like
vacation?
in
Just
the middle
vacation
of the
in
vacation.
general?
Like
Oh, you
in-
learned a
like
lot about
in-
a person on a
like in
vacation.
the middle of the vacation.
What was the tipping point?
It just was
Arguments?
a bad situation
Yeah.
all the way around.
Just
It
the
was not
look on
working.
your face?
I was like, I really don't want to do this anymore.
know what?
I understand we're in a really nice place. We were in Tahoe, and we were like, we're right around the water, and it's all nice. We're doing cool, but it was just so bad. I said, we have to end this now.
I can't be here with you anymore.
Did you travel home separately?
No, traveled home together.
Yikes.
It was pretty brutal.
I'd walk home before I get back in that car.
They're at Subway in line. We'll do it. We'll separate.
Cut it in half.
Let's try one on the phone. Let's go to
Travis,
Huntington
one
Beach.
sandwich. He's asking.
Don't put mayonnaise on my half. We got to have a talk after this. Rubio in Huntington Beach is next. Rubio, ask
Yes,
Berg.
hi guys.
What's up?
Love listening to you guys. So I have a question for Greg.
Yep.
Greg, knowing Emily's issue with elevators, would you rather be stuck on an elevator for 8 hours with Emily or with Travis Rogers?
I mean, there's an easy answer to this.
I think it is. Emily really hates elevators and doesn't want to be in an elevator with another human, so I can't take Emily.
Right. I think you would actually have like a legitimate mental health crisis if you were in an
I
elevator.
think that'd be
eight,
impossible.
8 hours.
I'd be
talk about
stressed
the
as hell.
Dodgers.
Yeah, we
for
would.
8 hours.
We would go. We'd go Fernando Doc like word by word.
What is something that Travis hates? What if it was like you were stuck at an Angel game in the Angel parking lot for 8 hours with Travis, or an elevator with me?
That's
for
what
8 hours?
happened though
Yeah.
when we went to
No.
the Angel game.
But you're in
he
the same
was
car together.
stuck. Yeah, we were in separate cars.
So
but
which would you rather have in that situation? Travis
I was in a good mood
car.
after that. The Dodgers won that
Yeah,
night.
we had a great time in that day, but I would still.
Okay,
rather
can I give
be
a better
with-
one?
Yeah.
Can I give a better
Give me
one?
a better
I got a better one.
I did like the question though.
With
Sorry,
Emily in an elevator, or with Trav at a restaurant, with like every table around you has a dog. Every table.
Oh God, he'd lose
Every
his
table
mind.
around you has a dog.
I see. I think it still has to be that one because I like the dogs, and I can
be
speak.
fine.
Hey, what's up, dog? Like we would have a good time.
And the
But you would be
restaurant's open?
angry.
What's that?
The restaurant's open?
Oh, yeah, it's
They got
wide
alcohol?
open.
I'll be fine.
No alcohol. This is a.
They got the fryer works?
Yeah.
I could
Just
get-
vegan.
Yeah, like
It's a vegan restaurant with dogs. Now we're getting closer
it's
to the
getting-
bullseye. Cap from Whittier writes, "You're robbing a bank. Who at the station do you take with you, and who are you not taking with you?"
okay, so the not taking with me is very easy. Steve Mason is not coming with me. He's
Why?
Gonna be,
Why?
Well, because we'd be like running out of the bank, right? He'd trip, fall, smack his face on the ground. His
An
mask
injury
would come
waiting to
off.
happen.
I'd have to go back and get him. We'd never get away.
He's like, I forgot my ID.
Yeah, I'd leave his wallet.
He'd
right?
his phone would drop out. They'd leave it there, and someone would pick it up. We'd know who
Who's
he
your
was.
accomplice if you're going to knock off?
It's Jorge. Me and Jorge are going to get in and out of that place super
Every
easy.
time we go.
He's got speed. He can be slick. That's the easiest person here by far.
Jorge even opened up a new bank account while he's there. He's like,
Yeah, one time at the Dodger game, I was like, "Yeah, you ready to go?" He's like, "Yeah." Third out, ready? Yeah, we're gonna speed walk. I'm down, and we're speed walking out of Dodger Stadium, dude. We're out of there like that.
He's
Gone.
a man with
In
a
and out.
certain set of skills.
Exactly. That's why
a good pick.
that's very simple. We
Jay-
get in and out of places very quickly.
Jason Torres writes, "You're able to pet any animal without being attacked. Which animal do you pick?"
Oh wow, that's kind of
That's a good one.
Okay,
I
so
have two choices, I think.
I think there's three choices.
Okay.
So there is the
Oh, yeah, I
shark.
got
There
mine.
was
100%
heavy
a shark.
petting. Yeah, a shark is one of them
Okay.
by far. A lion would be
Lion is
awesome.
no question about
Good
it on
one.
that
And
list.
the other one, the other one is a hippo, because they're one of the most dangerous
Yeah, they I
creatures
think
in the
kill
world.
the most humans.
I think that's right.
Yes, they will attack, and they're
Yeah.
very, very vicious.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the fact that you can actually get close to
Can
one
I,
and pet one,
this is going to sound weird, but
Yeah.
tell me you wouldn't want to do this if you could, if it was 100% safe.
Rhino.
A gorilla.
was there heavy
Oh, yeah,
petting?
gorilla.
Like a-
oh, there
like-
was heavy petting with the gorilla.
100%.
But like specifically the face. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
that-
you just want to see what it's like.
Right?
It's like my beard though.
It
No, to like hold his face.
yeah,
Dude,
it kinda
just
his
looks
hand
like-
through his
You
hair.
cup his face.
Right, like you're going in to have a moment.
Yeah, he was. I had a gorilla.
But that I don't know what that feels like.
Yeah.
It
Well,
could be super soft. I don't know. It could
The
be
woman
like
in King Kong was able to
Tetris.
understand what that was about. I don't know her name.
Jessica Lange was the
But
damsel.
what's her name in the movie though?
That's a really good question,
King
by
Kong
the way.
lady.
That's a great
King Kong.
question.
King Kong lady. What was that? Was that
That's
me?
me eating a sandwich.
Oh, that
I
was
believe.
you.
I believe that's what it
I think it's
That's amazing.
Anne is her name.
Anne?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll never remember that.
is. Yeah, they needed a better name.
Jessica Lange.
805 Raider, Berg. What was your go-to order when the ice cream man used to roll down the block on a hot summer day?
Oh, see, those are really good. Okay, so it would go between two. One was just like the Nestle Toll House chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah, that was good.
and,
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's good.
It's great because when they're not, because they come out real hard from being frozen, but then they soften up and it's really really nice.
Yep.
And the other one was a big stick.
Oh,
The
those are
big
good.
sticks were so good, and I always wanted. My parents would always say, "No, you can't have it because you'll never finish it." But they were
Do you know
delicious.
what the flavor of a big stick is?
I don't- it's
an
like
odd-
pineapple and-
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, really?
And cherry.
Pineapple,
It's
cherry, yeah.
Pineapple and
Yeah.
cherry together, and it's wonderful.
And it's delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah,
and it
that's
has
good.
that outer ring that you can. The inner ring stays solid, while the
Yeah.
outer ring is a little
Uh-huh.
softer.
Yep.
It's a
Big
good
stick
choice.
was an absolute.
What about
The
a
best-
bomb pop?
Bomb Pop was
No.
good. Choco Taco.
Those are good.
I'm
They're
a
gone.
strawberry shortcake
They're-
person.
no, they're not gone.
The strawberry shortcake popsicle thing.
Little creamy.
do
for
It's
my
fine.
taste.
Yeah,
You guys
too
can have your
creamy.
own ones.
It's not bad. It tastes good.
Why getting defensive?
But
We're just
hot-
giving our opinion.
Hot, creamy is not my thing.
Yeah.
That's why the Toll House, it's good, but it needs to be cooler
Okay.
outside. Choco Taco is
Oh, dude.
So
yes.
the so
It's gone
the
completely. I
best,
thought it came back.
I came back.
The best
Oh, it
cookie
did? Okay,
sandwich
thank God.
that is available to you is Trader Joe's cookie sandwich.
Those
So
are good.
The cookie stays soft. It doesn't get too hard.
And they
It's-
have chocolate chips on the outside.
It is one of the best cookie sandwiches you will
Are those
ever
the
have.
ones that are in like? There's multiple,
There's
right?
like 4 of them in the.
Yeah,
Okay,
4
yeah,
in
yeah.
the box. Yeah.
If you had a pet parrot, what would you teach it to say? #ask
I
Berg.
can't say that on the radio. Was there heavy petting? It would be a lot of expletive.
Heavy petting. Heavy petting.
Oh, yeah. Bing, bang, boom.
We just come to your house and it's cursing out every on-air person?
No. It would be like you'd walk in the door and it would just curse at you. It'd be like, F you blank and F.
Oh, boy.
That would be fun.
F-bomb. F-bomb.
Oh, yeah.
My parrot is deeply underrated. It's
That's
my
a good one.
second best bird impression.
I really like your pelican.
I've gone
Be
on.
my peacock.
Peacock, sorry,
Yes.
peacock.
I don't think I do a bell. I don't know what sound a pelican.
No, he's still with the Peloton. He's thinking his
Peloton,
head
yeah,
the
he's
negotiation.
still buy that
He
from
still
me.
hasn't made a counter offer.
The
I did make a counter offer.
last 2 days, and I've only texted the photos to cousin Slee. Every time I go, last 2 days I've gone on a walk. I'm not. This is an exaggeration. Probably have seen 15 peacocks total. 15 of them.
Yeah.
Just
in 2 weeks?
No, 2 days.
2 days.
They're in your
2
neighborhood.
days in a row.
Where you live is
Yep.
where the peacocks are because
Yeah.
they're at the Arboretum and they can fly. So they're going to start to
15 of
spread
them.
around.
Rookies
It's weird that they can fly.
like, what
Yeah.
the hell is going on here? He doesn't know what to do. I'm like, here we go.
They can fly.
Heavy petting. Heavy petting.
Nice job, Jorge.
Good job, Greg.
right, thanks, buddy.
Do you know yourself better now than you did at the beginning?
A little bit.
Good.
A little bit
I feel
better.
like we've done good work here.
Thank you for your
I feel like
thank
we've
you
got
for helping me out. I
Something
feel
that
better.
you should stick around so you can apologize to me for what you said about Caleb Ferguson yesterday.
that was a
That's
mistake.
next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
Travis and Sliwa on 710 ESPN.
Good point here, Greg, is that Eddie Carrillo writes, you couldn't take Ireland on your bank robbery because he can't keep a secret.
Oh, not for the life of him, he can't. I can't tell him anything. I tell him something that immediately turns around and goes tell the next person that walks by him.
You know who else would be a good choice to take with you?
Yeah.
This guy right here.
Sliwa, he'd keep
Slee.
quiet.
Just
He'd
keep it
quiet.
undercover.
Yep.
Be very undercover.
You'd never know he was involved. He'd
Yeah.
never talk about it. You'd be good. He'd keep that secret.
He's a secret agent. So I think like if we did that and we got arrested, you would say nothing. I would not be afraid that you would squeal on me.
No, I wouldn't say anything until they're like, "Hey, you could get out of here if you just give us the full story on Greg."
I'm going to keep your secret right up until they have leverage on me, and I'm going to tell them everything. Yeah, I will rat so fast you have no idea.
No, I'm not going to hold that in. Thing, but what if we let you out of here? Let's talk. Let's have a cup of coffee.
See, I feel like you wouldn't do that, and that's.
I got your back.
No, I got your back. Thanks, Sliwa.
Sliwa would keep your secret. I would.
Why you were never even a thought. There was not one part of me who's like, yeah, I'm going to take Trav into the bank robbery.
Trav, they're like, well, listen, if you tell us this, he's going away for 5 years. You're like, that's all? Think about it. Think about what he caused.
He had the gun.
He doesn't deserve 7 years, 8 years?
You don't know what I'm going to be like when I get out and after I know that you ratted me out.
That's true. I do have to consider the revenge factor.
Yes.
You'll be living in Fresno.
And I will hold on to that for all those 5 years, doing push-ups every day. Coming after
What do you like? What's the guys in, what's the movie where they're on the boat at the end with Robert De Niro? Oh, my God. No, Cape Fear. Where the guy is De Niro, he's doing the pull-ups. He's just getting ready. You did me wrong.
Yeah.
That movie.
I'm coming after you, Trav.
That's an alarming movie. It's a little upsetting. Little upsetting. Let's try another call here. Let's go to Santa Fe Springs with Jesse. Jesse, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's up, Jess?
Hi, how you doing, guys? I love the show.
What's up, Jess?
Hey, what's up, homie?
What's up,
I'm talking about Kobe Bryant. I seen him play live, and it was a joyful thing to see him play. And I can say that watching him play and watching him grow up, go through his up and down, I can say he's my favorite Laker, and that's the reason why I have his jersey, because of him.
Appreciate you calling in, Jesse. It's funny. I think there's a different connection. Think of every great LA athlete, just the greatest. However, it doesn't matter the sport, doesn't matter who you have more of a connection with. There's a reason why Kobe hits different for a lot of people who are born and raised in Los Angeles. By the way, you could just be a Laker fan, whatever it is. You got to see a kid from 1996 till 2016, that process of what it was, the highs, the lows, on the court, off the court, without a family, with a family. I think there's something to that. So I'll use that call as an example. I think there's a lot of people that say that aside from just he's my favorite Laker, he's their favorite athlete, period. And you could go through the list of some of the greats that have represented LA.
You saw him from a literal teenager to an adult man with a family and everything that happened in between, both on the court and off the court, and everything he went through. You saw the man in total. And you don't get to see that very often with an athlete. Usually by the time they show up, they're mostly adult, not always, but usually, and they leave early frequently. We got all of it here with him.
Yeah, you got all of it, and also you kind of figured out how he thinks too, like the Mamba mentality. He's willing to share. He told you his thought process on everything, and you just really respected the way that he went about his life, what about his work ethic, and all of that. So you can kind of embody him inside you, where you're like, I'm going to have the Mamba mentality. I'm going to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to do all these same things because that's going to make my life better.
Daniel Tapia writes, when does the corporate Greg Parrott get its own burner account?
I'm surprised it hasn't happened just yet, especially with your face.
Yeah, I don't have to. I'm not doing it, but yeah, be my guest. I will lend the voice to it. Whenever you want to tweet them, I will do it. Just tag me.
If they do it, they need to send you, you have to send them a voice clip. They send you a tweet, and you say it. If they do it all.
That doesn't even. I don't know if that's perfect or terrible.
Heavy petting.
I love that heavy petting has made its way.
Heavy petting is a very big part of.
It's not gross.
It is gross.
Was there heavy petting? I think it's totally normal.
Affection.
It was a normal. He made it sound so normal too. Was there a heavy petting? Like,
I think that's what makes it.
That's how he talks.
Was there heavy petting?
That's how exactly. It's how I talk. It's just normal. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying heavy petting.
Clearly, because you keep saying it.
Do it again.
The rest
heavy
of
petting.
Us wince every time you say it. Like,
no,
ugh.
you do.
Sliwa
might a little bit.
It's a little out there. That one's a little uncomfortable. It's a little.
He doesn't say anything.
He
But
can't
he does
even
look
look
away.
at
Well, also,
he does.
Turns his head a little bit.
Also, the storyline behind it of he's asking who was it? It was
Emily's.
Yep.
Trivia
They're
trivia
sitting in front. Like
master.
that's the way he's asking. Not, hey, did he put his arm around her? Or this, some of that. Was he heavy petting her?
That's why.
Like that was the description we got.
I love that's what you're thinking. Is like this is
Yeah,
heavy
he's
petting.
just like I just figured some
wasn't
guy breathing
painting-
hard.
What is your heavy petting, by the way?
He wasn't painting a fence in Karate Kid.
You were like petting a dog, like nah.
You describe heavy petting. That's what comes to my mind.
I was straight
Yours
hand
was
down.
aggressive petting. Yeah, heavy petting is what your grandma says when she doesn't want you to do it. Right?
No heavy petting in the car.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, I know you have a girlfriend now, but no, it's like, Grandma, stop.
Oh boy, I'm crying.
Just don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh boy.
Okay, Greg, I've given you 7 minutes to apologize.
I know.
And you haven't done it
Well,
yet.
you haven't given me the opportunity to legitimately say, Trav, you were right. That was terrible last night.
Travis is right.
Travis is right. Caleb Ferguson is not it. He's not going to be. When more of those, and he's not. No, this is not. This is more than a bad night. That could push him off of the play.
I may
roster.
have been wrong. Can we delete that?
No,
I don't need
we
that
don't
one.
need more of that.
Here's why it's more than a bad night, Al. Because, and this is not me. I'm just going to read you some quotes from Dave Roberts. These are the guys we have.
That's always good.
Caleb's a little in and out.
Don't want that.
That means, and Dave's talking about it, he's got his circle of trust. He may call it something else, but he has his circle of trust of guys. Evan Phillips is at the top of that list. Ryan Yarborough has pitched his way onto that list. Ryan Brazier has pitched his way onto that list. Brusdar Gratterall has pitched his way onto this list. That this is clearly, he's their best left-handed option because your other options are Victor Gonzalez and Alex
That's
Vezina,
by default,
who have
not
been all
because
over the
he's
place.
great. Mm-hmm.
It just seems to me, and I haven't watched every Dodger game, but I've watched just about every Dodger game. And when something goes, there's an error, there's a call, the 50-50 call that doesn't go his way, a hit that he seems to panic. He seems to get tight. He seems to get sped up. And that's all that the playoffs is, right? The playoffs are nothing but
high leverage
moments like that.
situations. Not everything is going to go your way.
Bad
I think
call.
I want to say that's 3 games now. If I'm just thinking off the top of my head, blew one against the Cincinnati Reds.
Yep.
Blew one against the Padres. And then
terrible.
this one as well. And this is just kind of, you could call it over the last couple of months or so. There was a time where you were kind of saying, all right, Ferguson and Phillips are your two, always Evan Phillips.
It was supposed to be 8-9.
But Ferguson is a little bit of your setup man for, to hand it over to Evan Phillips. But by default, they don't really have that many options. And this is the ironic part, is yesterday this wasn't a Caleb Ferguson conversation. It was the game's 1-1. You got to go to the pen. Do you feel comfortable with this guy? And it was take Phillips off the board, and it was it wasn't just specifically about Caleb Ferguson.
There's a lack of good options.
The concept was, who do you feel comfortable with? And then before you know it, a few hours later, it's Ferguson showing you that you're not going to feel
It wasn't 1-1. It was 3-3,
it.
and it was the 7th inning. It was the exact situation we talked about.
Over and over again. Bang, bang.
I think they still had the lead. I think it was 3-2 maybe.
It was 3-2.
I think they had 3-2. He gives up, and a couple of those are earned to Bobby Miller, but still.
It was exactly what freaks me out. And again, I don't want to talk numbers. I want to talk feelings, right? That there's just feelings you get. Even when Kenley Jansen was not at his very best, when Kenley Jansen came into the game, you weren't worried he was going to freak out. You were worried he might give up some hits. That happens occasionally. Trevor Hoffman gave up hits. Mariano Rivera,
of course,
occasionally you would give up some hits. And not that Kenley was those guys, but Kenley was pretty darn good. And even as he started to fade a little, it wasn't he's going to freak out. It's, is he going to have good stuff tonight? Is he going to be able to throw the ball over the plate? Is he going to go with Ferguson and with Gratterall and with some of these other guys? Is he going to freak out?
I know it's a starter, but like we talked about so much with Walker Buehler was like
never freaked out.
If he got nobody out, bases loaded, you thought he was going to get out of it.
Right.
Whereas this is with Caleb Ferguson, he's not going in and out like we were saying. He's in and out. That just means to me that basically, like, if somebody gets on second base, it's over. He's going to start giving up hits after hits.
It's the situation. That's the part that I think what you're referring to is certain situations are not going to be picture perfect. Does that get to you or not? And there's many pitchers out there. I didn't have my best stuff tonight. Right. It happens. You know what? I let one bad pitch determine that inside fastball, somebody hits it out.
It's when it's
with Ferguson
is
if the situation is getting to you, then it's not like those situations are going to get less.
They get worse.
impactful, they're going to be even more fearful as you go down the road.
More stress, more traffic, better players, all of those things. It gets more challenging, not less.
You're bad in August. You're not going to be good in September.
One of the things that I wanted to see, and last night wasn't the perfect opportunity to do it because he'd already thrown 97 pitches, and it was time for him to come out of the game. I want to see Bobby Miller in the situation he was in, where it's there's a couple of guys on base, give up a hit, seventh inning, he gets an out, a hit, and a walk. So there's 2 on, 1 out. He's got a 1-run lead. In the 7th inning with 97 pitches, I think they made the right decision to go get him because you're going to need him a month from now. We don't want to burn up pitches. I get it. But I want to see him in a few of those where there is a little bit of runway left. Let's see what that looks like. Let's see if it's more Walker Buehler where, hey, he was in hot water, but he got out of there. And the more you have to go through that, and if you have
better
success,
experience,
the better, because
confidence.
That's going to be nothing but that in the playoffs.
Yep.
And I know you can't simulate it in August with a 12-game lead, but you can try. And it was unfortunate that he had the amount of pitches that he did because that's the situation I want to see if he can get out.
Hypothetically, is what you're saying is pitching goes out there and says, finish this inning.
Hey, this is yours.
Would love to see
yours.
And I think there's something to that, and I think there's something to, for somebody that young, it's different. You don't need it with many of these other pitchers. Been there. Julio, who cares? Kershaw, it doesn't matter. But for him, we're not taking you out. You have not been in a situation like this. Finish off the inning.
See what you got.
That's how you get trust in the postseason, by doing just those things.
It's what Kershaw has. It's what Buehler has. It's what Julio has.
Julio absolutely does.
Those 3 guys are like, okay, look, we're not. There's not a better option back there than you up here.
Yep.
You got to do this right now. You got to dig deep, and let's see, because I have a feeling he's one of those guys. We just need to get him in that situation a little more often. Caleb Williams may be the first guy to do something in college football that's going to start happening more and more and more with NIL. That's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Has the free services you need to help you get back on the road, like their free AutoZone Fix Finder service. The AutoZone Fix Finder service not only identifies the check engine light code, but it also helps identify the most likely cause of the check engine light being on. The information provided by the free AutoZone Fix Finder service is verified by data from over 5.5 million ASE certified technicians, and with over 5,600 locations nationwide, AutoZone is here to help you save time and money with their free services. Getting the job done just got easier. Restrictions apply. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
God, I don't believe what I just saw.
All right, so that was John Ireland calling the final call of Kobe's final game with the Lakers, his 60-point game. So that leads me to this question. What is your favorite moment of Kobe on the court?
Mostly because I got to see it with my own two eyes. I didn't get to see 81 with my own two eyes. I didn't get to see. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second.
Be nice.
I didn't get to see 60 and 60 and 3/4, Al? Is that what it is? Or 62?
62 against the Mavs. It was 62-61. Kobe over the Mavs through 3, or 61-60, whatever it was.
Bananas, what that is. But I was in the building for the final night. I got to see, of those 60 points, I probably got to see 50 of them by the time I got in there. Yeah, to me, and I know it's a meaningless game on a team that wasn't very good, but it was, for me, it was the best thing.
Game.
It's a meaningful game in the history of Kobe Bryant, but it's not like it sent him to the playoffs or anything like that. It was because he got off to a bad start in that game. You're like, oh man, not like this. Come on, man, don't go out with a 12-point night. That's just, and then you knew it wasn't going to be that. And then it's, hey, he might get to 30. Awesome. He blows by 30, and you're like, he's got a shot at 40's in the bag. There's no way he can get to 50, right? 50's in the bag. And they're like, there's not even Kobe Bryant can get 60.
It doesn't make any sense.
And he did. It was extraordinary.
Doesn't make any sense. I think for me, I go through two. I'll do the one that I think is probably a little bit more obvious. Kobe to Shaq.
The lob?
When Shaq, points.
Yep.
Yes.
And I'll tell you why, because Kobe crossing over Scottie Pippen, and at the time Staples just going absolutely nuts, lobs it to Shaq. You knew in that moment, Lakers are going to win a championship.
Yeah.
It was really, there was a stretch there, was whoever got out of the West was going to win it all. And there was something about that moment where for Shaq, for Kobe, for the Lakers, for Dr. Jerry Buss, for everybody else, it's like they're going to get one. And remember how they did it too. They were down 16, something along those lines. You got it right here, Jorge?
Portland has 3 timeouts left. The Lakers have 2. Bryant to shot.
One time, this was years ago, doing a Lakers talk show, and I don't know what we were doing, but I forgot that we found the radio call of Chicken Stew for that.
Oh, awesome!
This is the one that you always hear because it's the one that you know
Bob
is there.
Costas?
It's Bob Costas.
That's crazy.
That's Bob Costas. He's doing the probably NBC,
sure.
right? NBC game.
Yeah.
But that one was hey, Kobe and Shaq are finally going to get one. So that one sticks out. The other one that just still I don't process, which in my mind is a perfect definition of what Kobe Bryant was. He tore his Achilles.
Yeah, that's a great one too.
And he decided in the timeout that I'm going to go walk back to the free throw line. It was a sad moment, but it also defined who Kobe was. Nobody carry me. Nobody get me a wheelchair, any of that stuff. I'm going to walk up. I'm going to shoot 2 free throws. I'm going to hit both of them, and I'm going to freaking walk off the court. Yeah, what the hell was that?
It's rare where there's a single moment that defines what you're all about, and that was that. It was a single moment that if the only thing you knew about him was that, you got a pretty good sense of who that guy is. That doesn't happen very often.
And there's plenty of times, too, where you see that moment that explains exactly who someone is, but for the wrong reason.
Right.
So you see someone, I don't know, Urban Meyer, after they lose a game, and then goes to a bar and does some things with someone. So that exemplifies who that person might be. But this
or
is
somebody, like we were saying earlier, Meta World Peace, there's a lot of people that just remember him for the Malice in the Palace. Mm-hmm. And I know that's an extreme one, but you might have a highlight that shows you, and that's it. You can never take that highlight away from that person. It's not ever a full representation of who they were. But I love what you said there about if you didn't know who Kobe Bryant was, and they just said, hey, we're just going to show you this one highlight of who he is. He tore his Achilles. He walked to the sideline. He walked back to the free throw line, shot 2 free throws, and walked out the out the court or whatever the case is.
I know what that guy's about.
Yeah.
Everybody knew what that guy was about. Don't forget, listen to Mason and Ireland all week long for your chance to win tickets to the exclusive Mason and Ireland LAFC Pep Rally and live broadcast coming up on Friday, September 1st. That's from 1 to 4 inside BMO Stadium at the Founders Club. Fans in attendance have a chance to win LAFC versus Miami tickets and autographed merchandise. Plus, of course, there are food and drinks. Listen all week to Mason and Ireland on 710 ESPN or enter for your chance to win at ESPNLA.com. All right, so Caleb Williams, as we sit here on the precipice of the college football season starting, has a chance to do something that we've only seen one other time, win a second Heisman Trophy. He's got a chance to put USC back in the national championship picture. And as of today, August 23rd, he's the number one pick in the draft. That if we were drafting right now, he's the first name off the board. He's also got eligibility left. He also is making a lot of money at SC with NIL money, okay? He's not making NFL level money, but he's making millions of dollars as the USC quarterback. And by the way, he should. He's worth it. That's not the conversation. The conversation is, and he was asked about whether or not he's coming out at the end of the year. That's for sure now going to be an in-the-moment decision at the end of the year. It's my third year, and the dream and goal was to go 3 and out. Being around these guys and in college and enjoying it, we'll have to see at the end of this year. I think he's just saying that to say that.
Okay.
What if the Arizona Cardinals have the first pick? What if a team like the Houston Texans have the first pick? Or the New York Jets or the Buccaneers or teams that just they just never get out of their own way. They're almost always bad. They're poorly run. They just don't ever seem to get things right. And he's looking at that and saying, I want to play for one of those teams. I'm going to go back. Or I'm going to say to, we'll use them as an example, the Arizona Cardinals, don't take me because if you do, I'm going back to SC. I'm not playing for you.
Will he have time? And I don't know how that works. Does he have time to make that decision even after the?
I'm sure there are ways to get the word out right before you declare and all these other things. Just saying, hey, listen, you can take me if you want, but if you're going to do that, I'm not coming. I have money. I'm making money at USC. And even if I can't go back to SC, which they probably can find a way to do that, I'm not playing for you. I don't have to take your money. I do not like what you're about. And you could kind of pick your spot, not to say, okay, put me on the, whoever, the San Francisco 49ers, Los Angeles Rams, or whatever it is. But he has some leverage that we haven't seen before because of the money involved in NIL. He doesn't have to take the bag because it's the first bag he's ever going to get. He's got a bag. And I'm not so sure that we won't see more of this, especially guys that are number one picks or high-level picks before their senior season. I think this could be a whole new era.
So it's fascinating for a couple of reasons. It's fascinating because he plays for USC. And I think, listen, I'm not 100% sure how accurate, but I'm just doing some putting it up on Google. It sounds like he's making NIL valuation stands around 3.6. Darn good, but I'm sure it's probably even a lot more than that. Let's just look at this purely from a financial standpoint. The number one overall pick in the NFL, the type of money that
Bryce
that
Young
player
got about $40 million this year.
I was just going to say the type of money that player is guaranteed says overall picks expect to make $41.2 million, including $27 million guaranteed. I think the question that it's going to come down to is, listen, if you told USC, hey, I'm not crazy about going to the NFL this upcoming year.
Not with them.
Because I don't like the team that's there. I'm open to staying here. Can we figure out a way? Like, is that not a good example of where the competition in the NFL is not only just other NFL teams, it's these big programs like Ohio State, Michigan, Alabama, Georgia, USC that's saying, well, we can't get you 41 or 27 million guaranteed.
Maybe they can.
We get you 12.
Right.
Where it's and then there's this and that. It actually makes it very fascinating. He's the perfect example, and he's at a school where money is not a thing. Money is there's an endless check. We went and got Lincoln Riley. Do you think they got him because they said, hey, you're... You
ever seen the chemistry department? It's great. We got beakers and Erlenmeyer flasks and flames.
Try the soup here at the cafeteria. But that's an interesting wrinkle that I haven't thought of. Now, the money is the 40 versus the 10. That's such a significant difference.
It's going to be there either
there.
way. If he waits another year, it's still going to be there.
There's always risk. There's always risk.
There is risk, but there's insurance. And the risk used to be you can either take this or go eat ramen again.
Yeah.
The argument isn't you can take this or starve. The argument is you can have this bag or a slightly smaller bag, and then you can get the bigger bag with the team that you prefer the year after that, potentially.
Because the
but
value...
also there's no guarantee that the team the year after is going to be any better.
Okay, but now I
team.
let's just use round numbers. Let's say he's making 3 this year, and he makes 10 the year after. I got $13 million to play poker with you now. You don't have the leverage that they used to have. They don't have the ability to say it's either here or nowhere. Okay, nowhere is an actual option at that point.
And he has real goals to reach for if he stays in the at USC for the fourth year. He has real goals of being another Heisman. He has real goals to win a national championship, to win the Big Ten. He has real goals that he can achieve. It's not like he's just going to putt around and do nothing at USC.
And you know who else has those same goals he has? USC,
right?
Yes.
And Coach Riley,
right?
So you're basically, it's a free agency recruit where you're talking to, hey, if you come here, what is the value of having Caleb Williams at the University of Southern California this upcoming year?
What if they're amazing this year?
Mm-hmm.
What if they are a Final Four team? What if they do win the Pac-12 championship?
Then his value is just going like this.
Add another $3 million to the bottom, or $4 million. Whatever, just making up numbers here, but it's not. It used to be so tilted one way to the other that a team that you didn't want to go to. I mean, you can name them on.
You didn't
one
have a
hand.
choice.
There
you
was
didn't have a choice.
Eli Manning, who didn't want to go. Well, he came from an incredibly wealthy family that had resources to do these things. John Elway had a baseball career waiting for him that he didn't want to go play for Indy, so he said, I'm not showing up. He went and played minor league baseball. Bo Jackson went and played baseball instead of go play for the Tampa Bay Bucks. But you needed very specific circumstances to be able to go tell the other guy, go pound sand. Most guys don't have them. Caleb Williams has got a bunch of different choices.
It also brings me back to what I actually literally just watched yesterday with Swamp Kings. You know, Tim Tebow goes back again. He goes back after they didn't get that. Did they get the championship? But he goes back for his fourth year.
Yeah,
and for him. The reason he wanted to do it is because he loved Florida and he wanted to play there, and they ended up losing in that season. It's not the end of the world, but that's not what every person goes to.
It's not, and there's a little bit of a different wrinkle there, but I like the example. Tim Tebow was not going to be the first pick in the draft. Tim Tebow was not. Tim Tebow, when he went in the first round, he was like, huh?
He knew his best years were going to be in college.
It was 2 years later, he was blocking on punts.
It was a specific type of role he was playing with Florida that wasn't necessarily going to translate to the NFL.
The most fascinating thing to me is USC saying, guys, we might have a chance to bring him back. What can we put on the table for Caleb Ferguson that Caleb Ferguson
Ferguson's
just taking over.
Not interested. They probably got a kid out of El Medina High School.
He's
that's
taking over the
better.
show after giving up all those runs yesterday. But the SC portion for me is the one that's most fascinating. Of what kind of package can they put together for him to try to keep him there, which we didn't have that before. Or we had it before. It was probably just under the table.
That's
and
fine.
Everything else.
I like that there's a little bit of, you don't get to tell me exactly what this is. You got some control, but I have some too. And that's brand new. And by the way, he may be the first, but he won't be the last. You don't think, to your point, Ohio State, Alabama, Michigan, whenever they have the number one guy, hey, listen, you don't want to go play for the Jets. They haven't been good in 40 years.
Look at the TV deals that are out right now. Look at how 110,000 people at some of these stadiums. The conferences are going to realign. It would actually, what's kind of crazy about it too, where would he be going next year if he stays? If he stays, you're out of that conference, and now you're taking on Michigan. Now you're taking on Ohio State. I mean, that's pretty.
How about 3 Heismans in a row? Let's go.
That's crazy.
No one's done that. Archie Griffin's already done 2. Everybody can do that. Let's go get 3. Who says no? Factor Cap coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. Rotolo Chevrolet in beautiful Fontana, California, right off the Sierra, or I should say the 210 freeway, Sierra Avenue exit. And if you're looking for that Silverado, I'm driving the Silverado right now, you got to go to Rotolo Chevrolet because they've got every make, model that you can think of. They've got unbelievable pricing, but what they have only at Rotolo Chevrolet is customer service that's second to none. You see Mike Capozio. He's running the show out at Rotolo Chevrolet. You see him on TV. He's dancing on TV. He's having a good time. He's a great guy. What you see is what you get. He's an awesome guy. But what he also makes sure is everybody on his team knows that when you walk onto that lot at Rotolo Chevrolet, that you get taken care of. That's why they're Dealer of the Year 13 years in a row. That's why they're number one in sales volume year after year after year, because they take care of you. Courteous, transparent, upfront, efficient. You feel great about that new purchase at Rotolo Chevrolet. Come see what all the fun's about right there in Fontana at Rotolo. And if you can't get in, go online. RotoloChevy.com. That's ROTOLO, RotoloChevy.com, and tell them that Travis sent you.
Mason.
So I was watching the third episode. I think they played Georgia. She was Georgia at the time. And I just see a little pass by of her, and she's like an upset Georgia fan or whatever. And I was like, that's really cool. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of preserved forever. So you find it really cool still when you see someone you know on TV. I know we see a bunch of people that we know that we work with on TV all the time, but it's still cool to see them on TV. Trav?
Yeah, fact. It is. I think you kind of put your finger on it a little bit, that it's less exciting now because everything is on TV all the time, and we're always recording everything all the time. So seeing somebody doesn't have that thrill the way it used to be. But I want to go back a few years. I was probably in high school when I found this out. My dad is in a Jack Nicholson movie. Okay? Like, it's very brief, and it's very... Jack Nicholson made a movie called Drive, he said. It's not a particularly good movie. It's about basketball. Okay? My dad was a basketball player at the University of Oregon.
Yep.
They shot it up there, and they said, hey, we need some guys to play in this basketball scene, and he and some of his teammates played it. He's in a Jack Nicholson movie. And it's like the coolest... When I found, I'm like, wait, what? What do you mean you're in a Jack Nicholson movie? So when it's something like that, I think it's amazing. Now, a little bit less so just because everything's on TV all the time.
TV's Clinton Yates all the time.
Exactly.
Al?
Fact for me, and this won't be exactly TV, but I think we give this a good example. Doing all the Laker games, being at games, the reaction of people when they get on a Jumbotron, where they're so excited about the Jumbotron. And now they're, this is today's world. They're trying to get their phone out. They're trying to hurry up so they can record themselves or something like that. Or like you're saying, Jorge.
The beer chug now.
Beer
chugging.
They get so excited. I just get excited for them. Some of them might be strangers, but you've also seen people that you know, friends, whatever the case is. I'm like, how random is that? Even though this guy's at the game, he's on the Jumbotron. In a weird way, their energy comes off to me. So, fact for me.
Jorge?
Yeah, fact. I remember seeing Bronny.
Bronny James
no,
Adam Bronstein?
Adam Bronstein.
Okay.
Same thing.
Yeah. No. Let's make it clear.
It's Braunny.
Right.
He used to produce the Laker games for us.
Adam Bronstein walked in with Drake. It was Drake, LeBron, and Bronny.
That's awesome.
No, he used to produce the Laker games for us. And then I'm watching TV, and there's a shot of LeBron crossing the screen, and then you see Adam walk by, and I rewinded it, took a picture, and sent it to him. Like, I saw you on TV, bro. Like, it's just one of those moments.
Fun.
Yeah.
Wait, you have your picture in with Kobe.
Yeah, that's a cool story, actually. I was producing the Lakers at the time.
Yeah.
And then, we did the post-game interview if they won.
If they won, you'd go down to the court. Yep.
So then, every time they would win, I would look at John and be like, hey, man, 3 names. He said Kobe as the one. I think Clarkson as the 2, and I forget who the other one was. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as he said Kobe, I was like, oh, snap, like, it's going to happen. I'm going to be able to go down there and get the interview. So I go downstairs. I give my paper to John Black at the time.
Nervous? Were you nervous?
I was.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I hand him the thing, and he's like, just go wait behind the bench. I'm like, okay. I go behind the bench as usual. And then he's like, okay. He points at you and says, come here. He grabs Kobe. Brings Kobe over, and that's another moment. My mom was watching the game that day, and then the camera happened to get me as I'm handing Kobe the headphones, and then the Ty Nowell, who's a photographer at the time.
Yeah.
He takes a picture of me, and later that night he sends it over, and I was like, dude, this is amazing.
That's
like the
cool.
fact that you
So
got me
cool.
that picture, and then John Kobe is the first one.
I think that's my point too. Is when you see other people get so excited, it's like I'm excited for that
It's
person.
infectious.
Yeah.
Totally. All right, so the movie Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 came out yesterday. Not yesterday, but like in history yesterday.
Right.
Anyway, but it features a hitchhiker, and makes me think sometimes, like, why would anyone ever pick up a hitchhiker? Just I don't know. So you would never pick up a hitchhiker, Alan? Fact or cap?
Yeah, it's fact. I guess if there's a certain scenario that plays out and I actually see somebody's car on the road and the hazards are on, and let's use the 110 as an example.
Like, have you ever stopped and helped?
I've definitely stopped and helped, but I've never somebody is just standing there like this. It'd have to be it'd have to be a scenario where there's a lot of things that I'm like, okay, hey, it's okay. So I guess I lean towards I wouldn't pick up a hitchhiker, but the 110 is a great example. You've talked about your car. If your car goes down on the 110 and you're on your way to Pasadena,
Yeah.
there is no space.
Shoulder, man.
So you feel, and if somebody's trying to wait in their car, dangerous. Somebody's trying to get out of their car, where are you going to go? So it's got to be like something like that where you help us. If I'm driving to Vegas and some guys just got, I'm a little more nervous about that.
Trev?
Hitchhiker, never, right? Motorists in distress, yes, right? Like if you're driving by and you see a family broken down, you only got room for one person, get somebody in the car and like, we'll get you to where you need to go and we can send help back. It's so different now with cell phones that people don't get stranded the way that they used to.
Remember call boxes?
Oh, those blue call boxes on the side of the road. Yeah, but every mile, right? You just hopefully you weren't right in between the two of them, right? Yeah, so it's something that I would do. It's just the opportunity doesn't present itself very often, but just some drifter that looks like he escaped from a loony bin, I'm not picking that guy up. No way.
Hey, come on in.
Fact, I wouldn't pick up a hitchhiker, but I stopped by. I used to ride a motorcycle, so when I see some of those guys on the side of the road, I'm like, hey, man, you need gas? Like, what is it that you need?
Yeah.
And usually they're like, oh, I got somebody helping me already, but thanks for stopping. Things like that, yeah.
Especially kids when they're like young people.
Yes.
But then are you the creepy old guy for stopping? Hey, can I help you? It's like you got to... Hey, is everything okay? You want me to call somebody?
From a distance.
Yeah,
From
exactly.
Right.
I'll
Across
wait
the street.
I'll wait up here until a CHP comes by if you want me to. I won't get out of my car.
I have never / will never be a hitchhiker or pick up hitchhikers, but I have been at the recipient of people stopping and helping. So like
How does that go for you?
I've had many situations. No, I need help. So for a long time, I didn't know how to change my own tire.
Okay.
So I, would like help from people who would stop, and they're typically very nice and kind. But the whole thing is like safety for myself, because I was almost always by myself. So it's like safety for myself. I usually call my mom as the person was helping me. It happened like one time in Connecticut. My mom's not going to help, so I have her on the phone so that she knows what's happening in the situation. It is very there, but as long as it's always a strange situation because it's like usually a man or someone else my own age, but like they try to be as like I'm not creepy or this as possible, and they just help me move with the tire real quick. So I have one last one for you guys. So Jake Paul admitted to walking out of Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer because it was too dull. He said it was just too much talking, not enough things happening. So there is never a movie so boring that you would walk out on it, that you already paid for, that you're in the movie theater for. Jorge, Patrick Cap.
Who said this?
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. Is that one of the boxers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He does the same thing. A lot of talking, but really doesn't do much. So, Travis, take it away.
Yeah. What was the setup?
So there is
I walk out.
There's never a movie that would be too dull that you walk out of.
Paul Jake is right about Oppenheimer. There's a lot of talking.
Love
and
Paul Jake.
Not a lot of stuff goes on. I liked it, didn't love it. So I get where he's going. I've left movies. I look, if I've given you 45 minutes and I'm staring at my watch or my phone, and it's like, what the hell am I doing?
Paid like whatever, $20 nowadays.
It's $20.
The guy lives in a gated community. You think he's worried about 20?
Yeah,
I'm out, man. I'm gonna go back to the bar. I'm gonna go get something to eat. I'm gonna go do something. I'm not gonna waste another hour and a half hoping it gets good. If it sucks, and I'm gone.
Al?
Fact, I'm probably not walking out. Now, I'm going to distract myself. I'll probably be on my phone a lot as well. The worst thing is if you're watching it with somebody, like, what am I going to tell my girl? What if she's interested in the movie? It's like, oh, I'm going to go wait in the lobby, So I'm going to stay, but I'm also not just going to sit there and give it my full attention.
Yeah.
I will probably be on my phone.
I also
doing
don't
something.
think there's ever a movie that I've gone to see that I haven't thoroughly seen a trailer, done a little bit of research. There's no way I'm spending that time without going to see a movie that I might like.
You live
You're not
in a
seeing it
different
blind.
era,
Yeah.
right? I sound super old right here, but there was a time where you might see a trailer in a previous movie and say, oh, when that comes out, I want to see it, and maybe you'd see a TV commercial for it, but you're going based on who the actor is, what the story is, and you walked into a lot of crappy movies.
Trav, I'm just starting a new movie on my phone.
Yeah,
This is
really.
stuff right here.
The best part of the movie was the trailer at the time.
Well, that's a good tip. But if the
trailers,
trailer
they did
sucks,
they did a good job on the trailers.
If the trailer sucks, the movie is. If you can't make 2 minutes sizzle, it's not good.
Well, but the trailer was your ultimate sales pitch.
Remember
got him on the trailer.
In a world. Yeah, the voice. That voice always got it.
There's also a movie called In a World where it's like the story of the people that do that. So anyway, that was kind of a little rabbit hole I went down when I was a kid.
Urban Meyer's in it.
You'll like this, Em. You ever listen to the podcast 99% Invisible?
No.
Okay, so it's about the little things and how stuff gets made and designed and why things are the way they are. The things that you never notice. There's an episode on how to make movie trailers and how they've become so formulaic. They're all the same. You all right, Slee?
You remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Didn't I tell you I'm going to bring something back?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, but
I'm sending it to you.
Trailer houses, I have a friend who actually works for a trailer house, and so she talks about this stuff all the time. It's really interesting to me, but nowadays it's always you do a 80s or 90s rock song, but then you make it orchestral,
yes.
so then it makes it really big and memorable.
And the whomp.
Yeah.
Whoom.
Yep.
That has to, at some point in the movie, goes, boom. And then they pull you back in, and then you're out, and then you're back in one more time, boom, and then they start singing "Jump" from Van Halen with a 8th grade girls choir. That's how they do it.
Sedano just sent us the movie that he walked out of, so I'll tell you that on the other side.
Deal. We'll hear from Shitano. Coming up next. It's Travis Slee, 710 ESPN. And Slee, drink some water. It's coming up next.
The fun way to.
Off food at your house twice in one day? I don't.
Great question.
Travis and Sliwa
On 710 ESPN.
So Sedano was listening to our Factor Cap segment, and one of my questions was: there's never a movie that's so bad that you walk out of. because Jake Paul, Logan, whatever, said it on a podcast. So Sedona sent us the movie that he walked out of, and it was Dominion prequel to The Exorcist. I want you guys to guess what the tomato meter was.
You need to give me the metric.
Okay, so this is the Rotten Tomato score. So the tomato meter is the critic score of
is it out of 100?
Out of 100.
Okay.
And the audience score is also out of 100. So there's two different things. So what do you think the critic score of Dominion prequel to The Exorcist was?
12.
Okay. Al?
40.
Okay, Jorge?
Oh, I saw this already.
All right.
Yeah.
Yes, let's give you. All right, so what do you think is the audience score? Just before I reveal it.
35.
Okay. Al?
40.
All right, so it was 29 on the critic score and 25 on the audience score. So Sedano walked out of that one.
There are a lot of bad movies. There are a lot of if you
there's plenty of movies that I turn off. That if I'm watching at home.
But it's the same
Yeah,
thing.
same
only
thing. That's a good point.
The barrier of entry for you is I spend a little money. I don't want to let it go
Exactly.
to
If I
waste.
spent money, if I drove to the theater, if I was in the theater,
You're pot committed.
I have been to plenty of bad plays in my life. So there's a bad play that I went to actually at the Pasadena Playhouse this year, and I did not care for the play at all. But I paid $40 to see this play.
Okay.
I'm gonna sit through it.
Little different because you're actively walking out in the middle of live people.
I would have walked out at the intermission. Yeah.
That
She's like, this sucks. Walks out.
If the
tomato.
So let's say the movie weren't $20, but it were $5, and you're an hour in, and you're like, this sucks. Are you leaving?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay.
Because of the story, I don't know.
Yeah.
This is probably a good example.
I respect the theater.
You go to a sporting event. It's just not a good game.
Yeah.
By halftime, you're at a Rams game and you're strictly there as a fan.
Yeah.
And it's 24-3. Are you leaving or are you staying? You're at a Dodgers game. They're down 5-0 through 5 or 6 innings.
At a Dodger game, I'm going to stay because I just like being in Dodger Stadium. It's a night, even if the game is terrible, I just enjoy being
Atmosphere,
there.
man. It's
but
cool.
That's the exception to the rule. If I were at a Laker game that they were down by 35 points at the
You're
half,
out. Yeah.
I might go. If it's an Angel game, a Rams game, or something like that, it's like, okay, this is over. The play is bad. I'm with
you. I'm with you on that. There's part of. I think sporting is you're watching your squad get ran. Yeah, I'm okay. We're gonna
on
take
the other side though. It's fun, right? When
they're
up,
winning.
Oh, it's good.
Let's go get another beer.
See how many they can win by.
Yeah.
What do you got, Em?
All right, so Jorge, can you hit the breaking news for me, please? Because this is for you specifically. So this is from Ian Rappaport. 49ers QB Sam Darnold was named the team's number 2 quarterback per Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero. He'll be the backup to Brock Purdy to begin the season. This further puts the future of former number 3 overall pick Trey Lance in some doubt.
He must be really bad in practice is all I can gather from that.
Do you think another team will grab him, be a backup? Also, the 49ers really put a lot of capital into
a lot of
getting
commitment
Trey
on
Lance.
him. This might be one of those situations where you're gonna need a new zip code. That you're just going to need to end up with another team, different coaches, different organization, different opportunity. If Sam Darnold is beating out Trey Lance and the amount of not just even capital, but he's supposed to be their future.
Yeah.
You're the 3rd string quarterback now to Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold.
To Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold. And again, Trey Lance was the 3rd pick in the draft. Brock Purdy was literally Mr. Irrelevant.
Yep.
He was the last player selected. Sam Darnold, who I like and had high hopes for, has shown us what he is in the NFL. He's not very good.
Seen ghosts.
He's
But also with bad teams. He was with the Panthers. He was with the Jets.
Yes, but it just has not looked good. Now maybe it'll turn around, but his track record as an NFL player is average at best, and it's not at best very often. Lance must be dreadful in practice.
Yeah.
He must be absolutely unusable or not understand what it is they're trying to, because he's never played in the NFL. I mean, he's played a very small handful of games. Kyle Shanahan must say this is just never going to work.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't know what he is, right? Because we can't sit here and say, well, he had one full season to kind of see what he's all about.
He got injured.
This is where he struggles. This is this. We don't really.
When he was supposed to be the guy, that's when he got injured, and Jimmy G came back and just
Mm-hmm. Well, think of Jimmy G beat him out. Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy beats him out. And the Niners, and this is partially
they're still
going
to be in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah, they are.
They just I guess you could call.
Well,
it
they're going to
fortunate that
lose
they
to the
picked him.
Cowboys, and Cowboys will get
That they found a starting quarterback with the 220th pick in the draft is just ridiculous.
But also, Brock Purdy might only be able to be a starter with the 49ers specifically because
Maybe,
Shanahan is that good of a coach.
That's where he is.
Yes.
Right? That's where he is. So what it may look like elsewhere isn't a concern to 49er
Could it also be a Tony Gonsolin thing, like we talked about with baseball, where last year was fantastic. He exceeded expectations. He didn't have expectations to begin with.
Sure.
Do we have to see this again for Brock Purdy?
I'm going to bring it full circle. And here's why I think it probably isn't, where I thought it might be with Gonsolin, where I thought it might be with some others. Here's why I don't think it is with Purdy. He don't look scared. There was nothing about that looked like he was like, oh, I can't believe this is happening to me.
He looked very comfortable.
There was nothing about this like, man, I don't know. He was chill. Like from the moment he walked in there, that guy was chill. He was really good at Iowa State. He's like the all-state, wherever he's from, quarterback as a senior. Dude's a winner. Like he might not have had the tangibles, so to speak, the 40-time. He's got that essence of Gonsolin always looked like he was just on the verge of freaking out.
Well, that's why.
Right? That's
why if you
guys.
make the Dodger comparison, why you've always said Bobby Miller, you give him the ball, he steps to the mound. There's a different feel to when he comes on the mound where it's fearless.
You can't fake it either.
It's fearless, right?
There are just some LeBron James, when he showed up as 18 years old and everybody in the whole world saying, okay, show me why you're the king. He's like, yeah, watch, I'm about to. Like it was just he's just got that thing in him.
They have it.
And there's guys that are chill. And I'm not comparing
Moxie.
Brock Purdy to LeBron, but he's just got that thing of, you all may not understand what this is about, but this is what I do.
We thought
man.
that about Gardner Minshew, though.
Yeah.
We thought that about him, and he's
just
not that.
He's just not good enough.
Purdy is to the NFL what LeBron is to the NBA.
Exactly right.
Get out of here.
I'm going to clip you on that one.
He's the one that said it. I didn't say it.
Not when they play it back, it won't be. If you want to be in the house to watch SC kick off the season on Saturday at the Coliseum, be sure to listen to our show, Travis and Sliwa, and Sedano and Cap tomorrow for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets. The Trojans Ticket Thursday is tomorrow on 710 ESPN. Speaking of football, the Chargers paid their quarterback, and somebody thinks that might create problems. That's next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
Great question.
Travis and Sliwa.
On 710 ESPN.
It's noon. That means it's the Waba Grill lunch hour on 710 ESPN. Thanks to our friends at Waba Grill. You've got to try Waba Grill's new Asian-inspired Boom Boom Taco Trios with your choice of chicken, ribeye, steak, or shrimp. Visit your local Waba Grill location or order online for pickup or delivery at wabagrill.com. Waba Grill, eat smart, be healthy. I got a quick tweet. This is directed at you, Em. It says, does Emily stand up at a play at the end and yell, "Who cares?" before you walk out?
Only if it's a bad one. I'm not going to do that like a Death of a Salesman, but I might do it at the one that I saw.
You don't have to say, well, I mean, was it a well-known play or was it an original?
It was a musical, and I hadn't seen it before, and I love this composer that does it. I just did not like this musical. No, it was not.
Do you like musicals, Slee?
I've only been to a couple.
Yeah.
So I'm not. Think of different venues where I'm not going out of my way to go.
You're not seeking one out.
No.
I think I'm the same. Like I've seen a handful, and I've never walked out going, "Well, that sucked." You always kind of walk out with the
I agree
tune
with that.
in your head.
No, there's
you're
a little bit
bopping along,
and you're impressed. Like you walk out like
I'm impressed.
You haven't seen this one.
I'm impressed by talent.
That bad?
Was it the song?
So it's
were the
actually
performers lousy?
It's not the performers. The performers were fine. It's just the story. I didn't really know the story going into it, but it's a Sondheim. It's Sunday in the Park with George, and it is, again, I don't think anybody cares, but whatever. It's just that the concept of the play or the musical is so uninteresting to me, and I didn't think that going in because I wanted to like kind of be surprised. And I always love Sondheim. Sondheim's one of my favorite
Walk out.
of all time.
Hey, Sondheim, you suck.
Well, he's not around anymore, so I can't do that anymore. But yeah.
Well, to the ether. To the universe.
To the ether. No, but it's not his best. I still love you, Sondheim. So, again, no, who cares? But it's something we do all care about that I want to ask you guys about. So it's obviously Kobe would have been 45 today, and we're talking throughout the show about all our memories with him and all the things that he makes us feel. Mm-hmm. So when was the first time that you guys knew that this kid was it? When did you know that Kobe was going to be Kobe?
All right, so Lakers' first championship run, they were playing the Indiana Pacers, and Shaq fouled out. You're in the NBA Finals. I think the series might have been 2-1 Lakers, and it's in Indiana. And Kobe did one of those, if you're watching on YouTube, where he's telling everybody, looking at the Lakers bench, like, everybody relax, calm down, I got this. Yeah. In my head, I'm like, you're 21 years old, 21, 22, whatever he is. Shaquille O'Neal, the most dominating player in the league, just fouled out. Pacers got a chance to tie up the series in Indiana to make it 2-2, now best of 3, and you're telling everyone to relax? Who the hell does this guy think he is? And he went out there and he scored over, I think, Mark Jackson on one possession. Another possession, scored over Reggie Miller. But he gave that, I know he's going to be the finals MVP. I know he's the most dominating player in the NBA. But don't forget about me, and told everybody to quiet down. And he came through, and Lakers ended up winning that NBA championship. A lot of people forget, even though Shaq was winning those finals MVPs, there were moments where you're like, yeah, they definitely ain't winning that game without Kobe. That was kind of my... This is more than just a Batman to or a Robin to a Batman.
The short answer to the question is way after he knew, right? Whenever he knew, the rest of us were months or years later on, because he knew the second he walked into his workout. He knew probably when he was in junior high that he was that guy. The first time I remember thinking, this is either going to be awesome or a disaster, was when all of the older players, when he first started coming around, were like, dude, he just won't listen. He just won't listen to what we're telling him. Like, you're not ready for this yet. You need to be a part of the team. You need to go out to dinner with us. You need to do and he's just like, no, man, I'm doing my thing. I'm doing what I think is the best thing to do. That takes an incredible amount of discipline and courage and, quite frankly, arrogance and a little bit of hostility to never lean in to what your teammates are doing at that age. Like, if you're on the opposite end, if you're Kobe and here comes all of the young guys, you can say, I got nothing for you guys. That makes a lot of sense to me. The opposite end, the level of confidence in a person like that is almost hard to quantify.
You've said this where that's what made them so great. Is they were crazy
They're
to
delusional.
think. There's a
but
part
they're just
of
not wrong.
There's that's actually the perfect way to put it, because there was a part of Kobe where you're like, man, can you let this thing marinate for a second? He's like, no, I can't. I'm ready right now.
Yeah.
And I think there were a lot of Laker fans. It's like, this isn't your time. Run everything through him or whatever the case is. And Kobe would probably bite his lip and do what he can to let Shaq be Shaq.
A lot of guys that think that. It's just that he happened to be right. There's a lot of guys that have shown up on the PGA Tour as phenoms and been like, I want to be the next big thing. It just turns out Tiger Woods was right. Right there, every once in a while, those people that think they're the best ever are right. Kobe was one of those guys.
Yeah, his confidence was way up there, especially with that clip where I think it's the All-Star game, and he's young Kobe, and then you see the guys, Jordan and them, talking, that Kobe kid, that Laker boy coming at you or whatever, and they talk about Kobe, his confidence that game, and then they ask him later, what'd you talk to Jordan about? His confidence was there regardless. Playing like that against All-Stars.
What did Jordan say in that? Didn't he say something like,
don't
you can't pass him the ball because you're not going to get back.
yeah. Didn't he wave off Karl Malone in an All-Star game?
Something like
Get
that.
out of my way. I got something to do. It's amazing. And the level of confidence that comes along with it, there are a lot of them.
That's a good question.
And then that All-Star game, I like the uniforms. Remember, it was the away uniform.
Yeah.
It was good.
All All-Star games should feature your regular uniform. I know they're trying to sell jerseys and everything, and I get it, but an All-Star game, if you're Mookie Betts, you should be wearing the Dodger uniform in the game.
Basketball's a little different because you'll get mixed up with the guys.
But no, everybody,
your home will be the white, and then
wears
everybody
white
else has their other colors.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's not perfect, but it...
Well, because baseball, clearly, you know who's playing who because you're on different sides of the diamond.
But one person wears dark colors, the other person wears white.
There's a way to do what you just said. I know they're trying to sell jerseys, everything else. Customize that road jersey for the All-Star game. Like, there's a way to still have those main colors, but customize that road jersey to the All-Star game.
All right, so the Rams have the Broncos coming up on Saturday. Pregame show starting at 4 o'clock, Emily, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Come on.
Come on.
Yeah.
There we
Roars.
go.
I'm so excited for some hot preseason action.
None of that I got sold more on. I got sold more the other way every time.
Yeah. Dude, come on, man. I'm going to be here too, We got to sell it. We got to do it. So but it's the last one. We're getting close to the start of the regular season. Chargers obviously paid Justin Herbert all the money.
Yep.
Marcus Spears says that paying him that money changes the way that we're going to look at Justin Herbert.
The perspective changes. More money, more problems. Biggest smalls, okay? Listen, we look at you differently once you get this bag. And we scrutinize you on a different level. And we also assert what type of success you should have when you get paid this type of money. And I'm a firm believer in this, right? Like, choices and decisions for the Los Angeles Chargers. What was the alternative?
Nothing.
Right?
Nothing.
So now Justin Herbert all of the onus is on Justin Herbert now. And we could talk about Brandon Staley and how bad it was and how he managed the game against Jacksonville. If Justin Herbert last year would have had a $262 million contract, guess who we would have talked about losing in Jacksonville?
Right.
We would have talked about Justin Herbert.
I couldn't disagree more.
Yeah, I hate the angle.
I
hate the
I
angle.
couldn't disagree more. There was no point in that game where you're like, Justin Herbert is killing them. It was, what the hell is Staley doing?
Yeah.
That's all it was.
The play calling.
All of it. For 2 years, it's been, can he just fall down and go away? Like, why is he in the way of all of this stuff? Justin Herbert's done nothing but put up bananas numbers, some of the best numbers you've ever seen through the early part of a career. There's more pressure with the money that maybe if there's a new coach and they keep losing, you start looking at other things. But right now, I've never once watched the Chargers and thought that Justin Herbert was part of the problem, whether he was paid like a rookie or whether he's paid like he is right now.
The problem with his argument is, yes, as guys make more money, there's more of we expect more because you're making more money. But he's the quarterback of an NFL franchise. There's always going to be pressure on a quarterback, whether you're making the contract that he made or you're Kyler Murray. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be pressure on the position of a quarterback. The problem with the Chargers, if he comes out next season and through the first, let's use Justin Herbert as an example, first 5 games, he has as many interceptions as he does touchdowns. That's different. That's his performance. You can't perform like that and expect the Chargers to win as a quarterback in the NFL. You can't perform like that even if the money's tied to you. The problem with the Chargers is there's been other conversations. What you can't have is, I think they're losing because their coach is not good enough.
Right.
I think they're losing. I think they didn't make the playoffs because their coach made a stupid decision. I think they ended up folding in this game because they actually, you kind of look at that Jacksonville game. One of the things they stopped doing, remember, it was 5 turnovers to nothing. It was things like that. It was they just became, but you put that on the head coach. So I have a difficult time saying he uses the Jacksonville game as an example. If he was paid that money, all the pressure would have been on Justin Herbert. Your coach is still the same coach.
This is just wrong. It just doesn't feel right. What you said, I think, is important. If moving forward his performance dips, that he's not the – when you watch a Charger game, the only thing you say about Justin Herbert is that was amazing. If we say that less and it's, well, that was a bad decision, then we're having a different conversation.
Yeah.
If he throws a ball to a tight end who drops it, and this is a guy that's been on 6 different teams, but he's the only guy they could afford, they say, it's the only guy they could afford. It's Herbert soaking up all the money. That's different. But that's not what's happened. Now, maybe it will moving forward, but unless it's very specific,
it's got to be that.
He's got to back up, or they have to run out of money to pay their other meaningful players because Herbert's making too much, and that's never really the case. They always find a way to pay the guys that they want to pay. He's still one, even though he's never won a playoff game, oddly, he's one of the, if we're drafting quarterbacks, he's one of the first picks off the board. He's that good.
If we're having weeks where we're coming on here and we're saying – the Chargers lost that game because of Justin Herbert. That's a terrible decision.
Have we ever said that?
I don't know, and it doesn't come to mind. And maybe that's because maybe we haven't been so against what the coach has been doing. You get blindsided a little bit. But trust me, you and I would be having the conversation. If Justin Herbert's throwing, he's got 2 picks in the red zone, and the Chargers end up losing by a field goal, we're going to say that. I don't feel like we've done that.
The Chargers are charged. They lose because they're the Chargers. They don't lose because the quarterback. Dan Fouts went to the Hall of Fame.
I know.
LaDainian Tomlinson is one of the great running backs of all time.
Antonio Gates, go down the list.
There's a lot of guys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that have been really good. So no, this is Chargers. And until that's not the answer, that's the answer. All right, speaking of football, college football, Reggie Bush is suing the NCAA, and he should, and I hope he wins. It's coming up next. It's Trav and Slee, 710 ESPN.
Mason, Ireland.
Mason and Ireland, today at 1 p.m. after Trav and Slee.
And by the way, LA
Harris and Sliwa.
But do you think it's the right move? Do you think it's the right strategy?
No. Live from LA Live on 710 ESPN.
All right, so there was something I saw on ESPN yesterday. Some ESPN insiders were predicting some way too early awards for the season. So, you got the MVP, you got the Sixth Man of the Year, you have the Defensive Player of the Year, etc. So, right now, after this, with the ESPN analysts, they have as most likely to win the MVP, Anthony Davis is tied for 10th. Okay, so I want you guys to maybe try to guess who's ahead of him.
Ahead, better odds?
Better odds or better chances.
Giannis?
Yes.
Okay, so
Embiid.
Ding, ding.
Jokic.
Ding.
Steph Curry.
Ding.
Luka.
Ding.
There's 5 right there. I actually don't think LeBron would be on that list. Is LeBron
He
on
is
there?
not.
Yeah,
He's
he's
not.
not on there. All right, Kevin Durant.
Is on this, yes.
I think Devin Booker's on the top 10.
Yes.
Tatum.
Everybody?
Tatum.
So there are some that are tied. All right, so I did not keep track with my fingers what you guys were guessing, so I don't know how
Tatum
many you
is
have
on
left.
there.
Yes, Tatum
Has
is
to
there.
be on there.
Yes. There's one person tied with Anthony Davis that I'm not sure if you guys were going to get.
I got a guess, and it's not a good guess. Karl Anthony Towns.
No, it is not
Okay.
Cat.
Damian Lillard.
It's not Damian Lillard.
Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy Butler is on the list, but it is not the person that's
Higher
tied.
up.
Actually, Jimmy Butler's at 8.
Here's one, but he's too young. But he's a baller. Shea.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. He's
Shea
a-
Gilgeous is on this list the same level as Anthony Davis. So here's the full list of guys that are ahead of Anthony Davis on this list of predicted MVPs from the NBA insiders on ESPN. So it's Nikola Jokic, number 1. 2, Giannis. 3, Luka. 4, Jason Tatum. 5, Joel Embiid. 6, Kevin Durant. 7, Devin Booker. Tied for 7th as well, Steph Curry. 8, Jimmy Butler. Tied for 9, both Anthony Edwards and Kawhi Leonard. And then tied for 10 is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and Anthony Davis.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right.
Would Harden's stats in China cross over?
Harden. You know what's the most disappointing thing about Harden? And I understand he's a great player. And I understand with MVP, led the league in scoring more than once, right? Just, have you ever really deeply enjoyed watching a James Harden game? That was awesome. That was fun. Even if you're not a Steph Curry fan,
No,
you
it's
watch
actually-
him
it's a good
play,
point.
you're like,
Yeah.
he's amazing. LeBron and AD and Luka and KD and Giannis and Jokic, just like, yeah, that was awesome.
I like when he crossed over that guy and the guy fell.
He'll have
Wesley Matthews or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
He's got moments where he does cool things.
Stared at him.
Drawing 400 fouls and driving into traffic over
complaining
and
the
over
whole
again
time.
And complaining the whole time. It's not great TV.
Do you know what's funny? I remember back in the day when they were all still together. It was Russ, it was Harden, it was Kevin Durant, it was all those players before they traded him. And I always say to myself, Harden was coming off the bench. I'm like, Harden should be the point on that team. Let Russ be the guy that kind of runs off. Let Harden set up all these other guys. He ended up doing that, eventually when he got to Houston and everything else. But you are right. There's certain players you can sit. I'll use the young guy that we were just talking about. Shea Gilgeous, you could be a fan of the NBA, not. You watch him play, you're like, that's an interesting guy. Show me more. I'm with you. Harden everything was slow. Everything was, I'm just trying to draw a foul 60% of the time.
And he was great at it.
It wasn't a good product.
And he was great. And he scored, what, he averaged 37 a game or whatever it was that year that he won that scoring title. But it wasn't interesting or fun or exciting. It's at the end of the day, all this stuff is TV programming. At the end of the day, we're supposed to have fun doing it, and that wasn't.
All right, so also Luka Doncic is number 3 here on the list as predicted MVPs behind Nikola Jokic and Giannis. And so Steph Curry was on Gilbert Arenas' podcast talking about a variety of things, but among them was Luka Doncic and how he might be the next guy up. So I'm going to play a piece of sound and see what you guys think.
Luka's like the guy, obviously, that's right on the precipice of accomplishing all those accolades and just what he's about as a player. That threshold of like, how do you just crack through? I hope it's not now, but like when you play against him, like you can feel it.
Do you think he's on the precipice?
Well, I'm literally looking something up as you said it. So this will be his 6th year in the NBA. That's a long time to break through, right? He's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but I've been hearing this is the year that nobody's going to be able to stop him. And no one can really stop him. He's a great offensive player. But Michael has said this 100. There's both ends of the floor. You can't be a zero on the other end. You don't have to be Anthony Davis on the other end, but you can't be a total zero either, which he is.
Zero.
I've never gotten the sense that he takes his conditioning all that seriously. That he still has, and again, he's 24 years old or whatever. He's still a young guy, but LeBron never looked like that. Steph Curry never looked like that. Kobe never looked like that. There are guys that take their conditioning seriously, and there are guys that haven't. Think about Embiid. When he finally got serious about his conditioning, he went to a whole nother level. Still haven't seen that with Luka. He's as talented as anybody else, but are you sweating the Mavericks coming into this? I'm certainly not. As good as he is, he doesn't scare me the way that other individual stars can.
So I tell you why. I tell you why. I maybe look at Luka a little differently, and I'm gonna give you my example of what comes into that. He had playoff moments already in his young career where clearly their team is not as good as. Remember, one of them was against the Clippers.
Sure.
I think he took them to Game 7
in the bubble, right?
Yeah. It
was in the bubble? Okay,
in
in the bubble. There's another series I'm kind of blanking off the top of my head, but he's had a couple moments where everything's on the line, and you got players on the other side.
The Suns, where he just absolutely smashed them 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Game 7, and I think at halftime he had more points than the Suns did.
Right.
He's had moments where you're looking like, yeah, it doesn't get any bigger than that. And then he has, like you just said, you walk into a year, how serious are you taking the game if you and I share the same body fat percentage? That's not good.
It's not.
That's not good. How
Everything
serious?
on the line.
But here's the funny thing: as the season progresses, he gets better. That. What he really needs is to eventually be on a team where there's a second star, because that's the only way you win in the NBA, and then that's how you can really, really test who Luka is. I'm sold on Luka. There are some areas that you have question marks, which are completely fair. And you sent us something today, and we're looking at just because it's Kobe Bryant's birthday, and you're looking at some of his accolades and everything else. One thing people don't talk about with Kobe, he's a 9-time defensive first team.
Yeah.
That as you're kind of pointing out with, go look at some of the greats out there. Michael Jordan is one of the greatest defenders to ever play the game.
Yep.
That there are guys out there that didn't just treat one side of the floor that, well, I don't got to worry about that because I just play offense. Or in Anthony Davis's case, we only pay attention to his offense, and a lot of times we forget nobody does anything on Anthony Davis out there.
He's not serious about what he does. He's great at it, but let's go back a year ago. You're telling me that a team that had Luka Doncic that was healthy for the vast majority of the year doesn't make the playoffs? Come on, man.
And then you get Kyrie Irving, who's also another great player.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me that there was a checkout factor that happened in there that great players very rarely have associated with them. You can have a bad season here or there, but this is a guy that's young, that's on the climb, right? Not a guy that, everything broke wrong and I'm old and I'm going to pick my spots. That he should be getting closer to this. And last year was a big step backwards. If he went out there and won the MVP, you wouldn't have to pick my jaw up off the floor.
No, not at all.
It's not that at all. But are you serious about what it is that you're doing? And I think the best example of that is on the defensive end and what kind of shape are you in. And he's better than he used to be as far as his fitness level goes, but it's still not great.
That's the argument I can't fight because I'm sold on Luka.
He's great.
The argument I can't fight is, are you in shape or are you not?
Yeah.
That's the one I can't fight.
And are you in exquisite shape? Not just can you get by, but can you go and be one of the fittest players in the league?
Yeah.
LeBron, anybody ever talked about LeBron or Kobe's fitness ever? Steph Curry's fitness ever? Lillard's fitness ever? Jimmy Butler's fitness ever?
Steph's a great example.
It never comes up.
Because even now Steph is running I think he runs the most of any player in the NBA. They clock their miles and everything. He's literally like a
nightmare to guard.
He's a Toyota Camry that's got 260,000 miles. It just keeps going.
Absolutely. All right, Reggie Bush is filing a defamation suit against the NCAA for, quote, maliciously attacking his character, close quote, in a 2021 statement, alleging he was part of a pay-for-play arrangement. Remember, folks allegedly got a house. They got some money to decorate the house. That they got some travel money. He had a car. All of these things. Okay. Did that happen? Almost for sure it did.
Yeah.
Okay. Almost for sure it did. They take his Heisman Trophy away, and we're pretending that Reggie Bush didn't walk the earth. that Reggie Bush didn't do what he did down the street here and put on one of the most amazing college football shows I've ever seen. You know what this is like? This is like somebody who's in jail for weed. This is now, right? That, okay, I get it. Back then,
2 joints.
But it's like, come on, man. Everybody was getting paid. Everybody was getting stuff to their parents. This was going on
Didn't
everywhere.
hurt anybody.
Nobody got hurt in the process. Don't throw them well, it's unfair. You don't think that every other school with their best players was doing something similar? Of course they were. Now we've come to our senses and said, hey, look, Caleb Williams is going to go make $4 million a year, and it's probably still not enough. And we're doing it, and we're still pretending he didn't win the Heisman Trophy. It's asinine.
We didn't come to our senses. They just finally lost power because they were trying to hold on to that power.
You're right about that.
They're just trying to hold on to power for as long as possible. Can I ask you this, because I genuinely don't know the answer? Why are we still having this conversation about Reggie Bush? Like, what's the angle? What's the NCAA? What's the argument? What's the no? It's in our best interest to make sure that he's not that we don't honor him with a Heisman Trophy. We are so far removed from those days, and God knows how much money was made on Reggie Bush's back. And those, go look at some of the greatest highlights you'll ever see in college football. It's in that era at the Coliseum and all these other places. Why are we still doing this? What's the upside?
The only thing I can come up with, and it's petty and it's stupid, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen and happen a lot, right? People do petty and stupid things all the time. The NCAA has so little power now, especially when it comes to college football, that they're virtually irrelevant, right?
Because of what's happened over the last couple of years?
Yeah, they don't administer the college football playoff. It's not like the NCAA still runs the basketball tournament. They're still heavily involved. But with football, they have virtually no power at all, right? They tried to suspend Jim Harbaugh, and Harbaugh's like, no, I don't think so. And Michigan's like, yeah, we're going to give them a few games, but you guys go pound. We're not doing what you want over there, right?
That's awesome.
So
I'm good.
They have no real authority. So you ever run into somebody that's got like the toll booth operator? He's like, I'm not going to raise the bar because I can stick it to you for half a second. My whole life isn't working out, but today, in this moment, I get to stick it to you. I'm going to do it. It's the only thing I can come up with.
Jorge, the bouncer at the bar, right? The one that I'm like, relax, man. It's not that big of a deal. It's just we're just going to go in there and get a drink. Yeah, well, there's a line. Okay, everybody just relax here. That's the power that they're left with, is that.
Yeah, I control the – okay, but, dude, what are we doing here?
You on the list? All right, let's calm down.
I saw him run around. I saw what he did against Fresno State. I saw what he did against Notre Dame. I saw what he did against everybody for a season. It's like,
if that's the best case that you can just think, like, let me just try to figure out why this is still going on. How stupid is this?
Fortunately, I also remember him trying to throw that lateral in the Rose Bowl against Texas.
Yeah,
like,
he doing?
No,
Who cares?
Don't do that. What are you doing? It was
did that moment not? I think.
It gave Texas life.
It gave them life.
Texas life. That SC was like, the game started like, oh, here we go. They're gonna take control. Reggie ripped off that long run. You're like, they're gonna go in again, and you could almost feel the air getting ready to go out of the balloon. And they got the ball back, and then Vince Young, he's going for the quarter. He's got the whole thing was just at that point. It's like, that son of a gun. He is that good. I was
don't give Reggie the ball anymore. Lendell White the rest of the way.
I was the biggest. Vince Young's not that good. Vince Young's playing. And then it's like, uh-oh. We got a problem. That's a problem. I don't know what to do with that, and neither did Pete Carroll, and neither did anybody else. That was a real problem. That dude was pretty good at that. All right, speaking of SC, they open up on Saturday. I want a little prediction game with you, Slee. It's coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN.
All right, my friends over at Sierra Subaru of Monrovia. They always set me up with some of the new models over at Sierra Subaru. What a great brand, by the way. First time I've been exposed over these last 4 or 5 months. Got a chance to drive the 2023 Outback. Got a chance to drive the 2023 Ascent. SUV, fits up to 8 passengers. And then the last car that I got was the 2023 all-electric Solterra, and have taken that on some of those summer adventures wherever I'm going. Lady Slee, Rookie the Golden Retriever, San Diego, Lake Arrowhead, Joshua Tree. Just a really, really smooth ride, beautiful interior, perfect for any of those road trips that you're on, perfect for your everyday. Check it all out at Sierra Subaru of Monrovia, where their team not only takes amazing care of the customers, but also the community as they work with Little Angel service dogs all this month. Every single month, Sierra Subaru Monrovia is working with some type of organization. Visit sierrasubaru.com. That's sierrasubaru.com.
The same person dropped off food at your house twice in one day. I don't know.
Great question.
Travis and Sliwa
On 710 ESPN.
It is the Waba Grill Lunch Hour on 710 ESPN, thanks to our friends at Waba Grill. You got to try Waba Grill's new Asian-inspired Boom Boom Taco Trios with your choice of chicken, ribeye steak, or shrimp. Visit your local Waba Grill location or order online for pickup or delivery at wabagrill.com. Waba Grill, eat smart, be healthy.
All right, so all day we've been celebrating, Kobe's legacy here with the Lakers and his life, and he would have been 45 today, and it's his birthday. So my question to you is, when you think of Kobe Bryant, who is Kobe Bryant's best teammate? So it might be Shaq, it might be Pau, it might be someone else. Who do you think is his best teammate?
I guess, if we're going to, best is hard to quantify. Mm-hmm. I think the one that made the most sense was Pau, because he and Shaq both wanted the same thing.
Yep.
He and Shaq both wanted to be the headliner on the movie poster. They never wanted to be on the second line for obvious, because they both are headliners. They both were guys that were leading men. Pau was far more comfortable in the second role, in the supporting role.
The greatest number two, right?
Probably.
The perfect number two. Scotty to Jordan. Yep.
Probably, right? So Shaq's a better player than Pau. Shaq's more dominating force. If you're listing the greatest players, you're going to get to Shaq before you get to Pau. But with Kobe, Pau was the perfect addition.
and you could tell their friendship was. Powell tells the story. He told the story recently, inducted into the Hall of Fame, and he tells the story that when he was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers, that he was going to arrive in L.A. or wherever he was arriving. He was going to arrive super late. It's going to be like 1 a.m. or something like that. And Kobe's like, hey, I'm going to stop by, and I'm going to come say hello. And he's like, well, aren't you sure? You just kind of wait till the morning, So he's like, no, I'm going to stop by, and I'm going to come say hello. Right, so he goes to his hotel, whatever the case, and he says, welcome to L.A. Let's go win a championship together. And they're kind of a bond that started between the two of them, where Powell needed Kobe as much as Kobe needed Powell. And that relationship, it didn't end after they went to the finals 3 years in a row. That relationship is still there, how much Powell admires Kobe Bryant, how much he's brought, at least together, their families are united. So I think that's just such a deeper bond, and it's nothing to do with Shaq, but I think you said it best. Shaq was like, I'm the star of the movie.
Right.
Kobe's like, no, I'm the star of the movie. Powell was completely accepting, you're the star, and I know what my role is.
Kobe needed Powell as the basketball player. He needed what he provided. He needed the defense. He needed the scoring. He needed the passing. He needed all the things that Powell could bring to a basketball court. Powell needed Kobe to light him up. Powell needed somebody to push him to be his best. Powell was already a good player in the NBA, but he became a great player with Kobe. Yeah. Because what's the famous quote? Put your big boy pants on. Right? You say that to Shaq, they're fighting for 6 months. Right? They're going to have a war for 6 months over whose pants are what. Right? Well, you're the Corvette and I'm the wall. It's like, guys, can we not? Can we get back on the same page? Can we go to this? And Powell, because he was intellectually mature, took it as it was intended, which is, I can't do this without you. I need you to get on board with this, because if it's just me, it's not going to work. It takes more than one person in this league.
Probably helps, he came to his house.
Yeah.
Kobe is like, you're coming to the Los Angeles. I already got 3 in my back pocket. All I care about is passing Shaquille O'Neal and stacking as many up as I possibly can. You're a guest. Now he's got his jersey in the rafters right next to Kobe, but still.
You go back to the Shaq and Kobe when they were done, right? We're not doing this anymore. And it was a Shaq or Kobe moment, right? That the Lakers had to decide which guy they were going to use moving forward. And keep in mind, the NBA was different then. It was a more big man-oriented league than it is right now, a more perimeter game now. And the city, at best, I want to say, this was a long time ago, I'm going by memory here, it felt like it was about 50-50.
Did you feel it was that high towards Kobe?
I was just going to say, if anything, it might have been more Shaq than Kobe.
I've told this story before. What do you mean you're trading Shaquille O'Neal?
Yeah.
How can you be trading Shaquille O'Neal?
I was on the Shaq team in this moment for all of the reasons that we've talked about. Well, this is what makes the Lakers too, is that they got it right. That in that moment where the popular decision, or the more popular decision, was Shaq, it's no, we're going along. We're going to be a little more strategic in what we're doing. This guy is going to be around and better longer than this guy. That this guy today is probably better. That he went and won a championship like that, it was like, oh, man, really? And then it took Kobe a little minute to kind of get it all cranked up again, but he got more. He got that 5th one.
That's the Dr. Jerry Buss. We already got the best out of him. The best is still to come from Kobe Bryant, and that's exactly right.
And he allowed his basketball people, and he allowed people to influence his decision, but when it came time to make the call, he made the call.
It's funny. I said Powell, that it's his best teammate, but I've said this before. My favorite era of Lakers basketball, young Kobe to me was, I don't know what it was, watching Kobe and Shaq together, and it could just be your age. It could be, you're 16, 17 years old, and you're watching Kobe and Shaq go up against the San Antonio Spurs, the Portland Trailblazers, the Sacramento Kings. It's just probably more the era.
What do you got?
All right, so there's from one more than Shaq, so I don't know where he sits on everything, but Kobe's best teammate could easily be Derek Fisher. Not most skilled, but a perfect PG fit to complement Kobe's game. What do you think about that?
I think it's an interesting way, but wasn't a good enough player. Very, very good player, but Powell's in the Hall of Fame. Shaq's in the Hall of Fame. From a point guard spot and a leadership spot and all this, D-Fish was awesome for all that stuff, but if Derek Fisher were there and Powell never comes, they don't get those other two. That's not happening.
He's the player that they want them all together with. Right. So there is something to that D-Fish and Kobe, they could share both chapters together, something that no other player was able to do with Kobe.
Powell's the
Yeah. I agree with you on Powell.
Let's try a phone call here. Let's go to Long Beach. And Rick, you're on with Trav and Slee. What's up, Rick?
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, Rick.
Hey, what's up, Holmes? Hey, thanks for taking my call. I'm a USC alum and 20-year season ticket holder. So I call in and give you a little background of why these things are happening.
Sure.
Start off with Monday. USC is starting to be like USC again. Carol Folt hires Jen Cohen, the number one AD in the AD transfer portal. Yesterday, Tuesday, not to be outdone, Lincoln Riley gets a commit from the number one quarterback in the class of 2026 from Georgia in Juju Lewis. Today, Reggie Bush has his press conference from the L.A. Coliseum. He filed the defamation lawsuit last night, or actually it was reported by ESPN. It was going to be filed last night. It was filed this morning. He could have that press conference at the attorney's office. But USC is putting pressure on the NCAA. When the NCAA set out the sanctions in June of 2010, USC and Reggie Bush had to disassociate each other for 10 years. That was part of the sanctions. There was a different leadership at USC at that time. They couldn't pin anything on the original NCAA investigation that was headed by the Committee of Infractions, Miami AD Paul D. Okay, this is the same AD that was at Miami with the Pell Grant scandal, a federal scandal back in '92. Okay, this was also the school that had Nevin Shapiro that gave out money and drugs.
Yeah, Rick, I don't mean to cut you off, but you're right about all this stuff. This is. There's always going to be somebody that's at the point of these things. That SC is obviously on a different path than they were. And what SC did that was, in retrospect, a little bit, maybe a bad decision that their pride might have got in the way a little bit, that the NCAA is a vindictive organization. The NCAA will punish you if you push back. That typically what would happen, the NCAA would come in and say, you're doing these things. And then they would expect you to throw yourselves at the mercy of the court and say, oh, my gosh, let us clean this up. Please, 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 let us take a shot at this. And SC basically said, and I'm paraphrasing here, no, we didn't. No, that's not what it was. It wasn't that. And they fought. So when it finally went down and the NCAA came up with their rulings, they were ruthlessly heavy-handed with what they handed down. That they're stripping Heisman Trophy, they're taking away scholarships. They were doing these things that's like
to make an example.
What are you going on to make don't mess?
But
it
was it almost felt like a personal example.
It was very heavy-handed for the reasons that I think that Rick was getting at, and I think that's why right now SC and the family and Reggie Bush are like, look, can we just pretend or not pretend? Can we just move on from this? Can we have Reggie Bush at our stuff? Can we hang his jersey? Can we talk about him as a Heisman Trophy winner? Because all of that stuff was stupid. You know it. We know it. What are we doing?
Were they always in support for Bush?
SC?
Yeah.
Well, they had no choice but to kind of turn their backs on him at some point, because if they didn't, it would have continued to be a
So they made a business decision to say we have to be in arm's length.
We want to be in bowl games. We want to be
literally
in the good sides
we want our
of
scholarships
Heisman
back.
arm length away.
Right.
Right. What
exactly.
it is. But I think with that being said, so is all this now happening because what you said earlier, that the NCAA just does not have the weight that it used to have?
And what used to feel dirty and nefarious is
now normal?
It's encouraged. Hey, how much can I get?
Sure.
What are you going to give me? And before it's, he's got a car. Yeah, so does everybody else. They're just better at covering the paper trail. What are we doing here? If anything, punish them for being sloppy and covering their tracks.
Yeah, Nick Saban is a part owner of the Mercedes dealership in Tuscaloosa.
The whole thing is silly. Give the man his trophy back, and let's never speak of this again. The Dump is coming up next. It's Travis Lee, 710 ESPN. If you get hurt in an accident, call Sweet James. Really doesn't matter what type of accident it is. It could be a car accident, truck accident, motorcycle accident, dog bite. If you're hurt in an accident, call Sweet James. I've called Sweet James. My friends have called Sweet James. My family has called Sweet James. And we all made the call for the same reason, the expertise, right? Nearly 20 years of doing this, having worked for the insurance company, knowing how they operate inside and out, knowing that they don't have your best interest in mind. Do not mess around with the insurance company by yourself. Call Sweet James. Winning record. He's collected over $1 billion. B with a billion. Billion. More in a year than most firms are taking in their entire lifetime. So if you're hurt in an accident, do what I've done and call Sweet James. 1-800-9-MILLION. That's 1-800-9-MILLION. 1-800-900-0000 because the law firm you choose absolutely matters. Why not pick the one that's been awarded best attorneys in America and personal injury? It's what they do all day, every day. It's the only thing they do. We're talking about Sweet James. 1-800-9-MILLION and sweetjames.com. So, Sliwa, we talked about Steph saying that Luka is going to be the next, big thing in the NBA, which is a popular opinion. I think a lot of people would probably pick the same guy. But he also said that he believes that he's the best point guard in the NBA ever. He stopped himself and said him or Magic, that he can't just say himself.
Do you want to play the sound?
Do we have it?
Yeah, the sound. So it's both Steph and Gilbert Arenas on this clip on Gilbert Arenas' podcast.
Let's play it.
Are you the best point guard ever?
Yes. I have to, yes. It's me and Magic? Is that the conversation?
Yeah. Like it just, because as we can look at stats all day, right? We can look at stats and try to judge. I wasn't around with Magic, I know, right? So
I have so much respect.
I know there's not a lot of 6'9" point guard. No one's trying. I'm thinking about the '90s growing up. There was nobody trying to be a 6'9" point guard, right? I mean, it just But I can witness and watch every kid trying to be Curry. The influence that you really have on the game from the position as a player. You know, I look at the stats and say, okay, Magic than Curry. When I look at the kids and I watch AAU, it's like, nah.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously I have to answer it that way, but I really feel like, to your point, like Magic's resume is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, all right, so the fact that we're even having that conversation is it's a place I never thought I'd be in.
I love the answer. He goes, well, yeah, of course I am. Me and Magic, that's the conversation, right? Because usually you'll hear, well, there's been a lot of great players, and he's like, no, it's me and that guy. It's the only two answers that are even remotely acceptable at this point. I love that he leaned into it.
And you can approach it from two different angles. So you can say either by stats or by influence and how players play after you.
Which is, I think, is the question. If you're saying, hey, who changed the game more, it's Steph Curry, because there aren't too many 6'9" guys that was doing what Magic was doing.
Still aren't.
Who changed the game more? I'm going to use as an example, Michael Jordan. Did Michael Jordan change the game more, or LeBron James? Michael Jordan did. I think that's a different. Those are separate conversations. If I ask you this question, you're putting together the greatest team of all time. You're grabbing a point guard. Is your point guard Magic, or is your point guard Steph Curry?
Probably Magic, because Magic doesn't have to score. To get the best version of Steph's got to be gunning threes all over the place, which great, but if I'm putting together the best team of all time, all of my guys are going to be able to score. I'd like to have somebody that doesn't have to score to impact.
And no disrespect, I'm not even hesitating it's Magic.
Yeah.
If I'm putting a team together, Magic or Steph, I'm putting Magic.
Well, it depends on what else I have, right? If
I think I could work around everything else if I know Magic's my point guard.
I don't have somebody that can score a lot of points. I need Steph, right? Steph is going to make – he's going to score 30 a night, really. I mean, it's probably not exactly 30, but – Steph is unguardable. Magic can do a million different things, but Steph literally is unguardable.
Did Steph, before they beat the Boston Celtics, they beat Boston, he becomes finals MVP, and he had some cold moments.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He had some staring into the crowd in the Boston Garden and, running his mouth. Did he put himself in that conversation after beating the Boston Celtics?
I think it certainly helped.
I think it did too.
Right. I mean, it filled the last hole on his resume. That was the only thing left, that you hadn't won Finals MVP. Okay,
and you were by far the best player in that series,
right? And now I have. And now what? Now what do you got?
And his story's not over. There's still more to be said, and that's what I think about with there are people that are currently playing in all these sports that are changing it for the kids that are playing the sports now. So there's Patrick Mahomes. He's throwing sidearms. He's doing all these creative things. He's changing how quarterbacks play the position. Shohei Ohtani is changing how little kids are going to try
look at the
to
game, how they view the game.
Look at the game and what the position they could play, their limitations or what they don't have as limitations. So I think that those three people might not ever be the number one greatest of all time, but they definitely changed the game after them.
You go look at Steph. Go to a gym, they're playing like Steph. They're not playing like any other player.
He changed coaching.
Yeah.
He changed the you can't take that shot. If you take it out, I'm taking you out of the game to, hey, let me take a few of these and see if I can make them. The coaches have to deal with it now. Because if you just yanked every kid off the court that's taken a three, there wouldn't be any kids left. You'd take everybody off the court. And Steph is responsible for all of it. For better or for worse, he's responsible for everybody taking 30-footers. It was this day, 1998, that Barry Bonds became the first player in Major League Baseball history with 400 home runs and 400 stolen bases after he hit a home run against the Marlins. The 400 club is stupid. That you're not supposed to be that fast and have that much pop. And we were talking about it this morning. Because Barry was very unlikable to the vast majority of people, because Barry is so closely associated with the steroid era.
Yeah.
Because Barry was on a just not a warm fuzzy, we lose track of how awesome he was. That era was riddled with steroid abusers. It wasn't the whole league, it was a lot of it. And Barry still dominated. Barry was, until Trout and Ohtani, Barry's the best I'd ever seen. Barry was, that grid on ESPN that they used to put up the hot zone?
Yeah.
Where it was in 9 boxes, like, okay, he's hitting 380.
And there was
85.
only one color?
And blue was if you were like below 200, and red was if you were above 350. The whole box was
all red.
The whole damn box was red. And he wouldn't. The most impressive thing about Bonds, and it's kind of stupid and kind of dorky, but I love it, he would never swing at a bad pitch. Like, even when his team was terrible and they weren't winning games, he just said, I'm not swinging. And the second you threw a ball in the strike zone, it was in the water. I've never seen anything like it.
This ever happened before where they would, was Barry Bonds the first player that you're doing this with?
The walk?
Walking with the bases loaded.
Yeah.
You're giving up a run to say, well, we're up 2. If we could just.
Anybody but him.
Okay, we're still only up 1, but at least Barry Bonds is off the plate.
Because they knew he wouldn't swing at a bad pitch, so why are we even messing around? Why even throw one to the backstop or whatever? It was pretty
I'm going to throw one on the list here.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Lin turns 35. And, John, you're going to remember this game. It's the only time – actually, I've been to the Garden twice. One of the games that I've been to was Lakers and the Knicks.
When Lin went off?
It was the game where Jeremy Lin went off.
38.
38. Okay, so we still didn't kind of know. Cates and I were actually there together. And we didn't, I think Jeremy Lin maybe you're just kind of starting to figure out, hey, who is this guy?
Lasted for a few weeks.
But that game in New York, for the few times that I've ever in New York for a basketball game, is one of the games that Jeremy Lin went off. John, you'd know it better than anybody else.
So I try to. This is just kind of a personal thing. I try to never, ever complain about our broadcast position because I think it sounds whiny. I think that, we've got these great jobs. We go anywhere in the league. We're flying private. We're staying in 5-star hotels. But every once in a while, an arena will screw the radio guys. So that year, Madison Square Garden was being renovated. And Michael and I were literally, I could put my hand on the roof. We were in the back row of the upper deck, and anytime somebody stood up, it was only a 1-year thing because the Garden, which is now renovated and it's better, but for that one game, I realized not only can I barely see the court, but if anybody stands up, I can't see it all. I've got to call this game off a monitor. So I look at my monitor. It's black and white. It's about,
oh my gosh,
I don't know, maybe 12, 13 inches across, like looking at a computer screen.
Right.
I called that whole game off a monitor. Never said it, but I called that whole game off of a monitor, and Jeremy Lin just went crazy. Do you remember what Kobe said the day before that game? They all went to Kobe. They said, how do you feel about walking into insanity? And he went, guys, I don't know who you're talking about.
I do remember that. That's right.
And then Jeremy, after the game, they go, now? He goes, oh, yeah.
Yeah, no. So I'll ask you guys this. You may have heard me say this. It's one of my favorite just random factoids that I have at my recall. Okay. 3 athletes in the history of Sports Illustrated were ever on the cover in back-to-back weeks. 3 people.
Well, Jordan's got to be one.
Jordan's one.
Is Tiger one?
Tiger is not one.
Is the other one a golfer? Is it like
nope?
Okay,
but it's going to make perfect sense to you when you hear it.
Oh, it's Ali.
It's Ali.
Okay. Yeah. Third one,
Jeremy Lin.
Not the Jeremy Lin.
Uh-oh. They gave you a not the same story.
It is the same.
It is the same. But I like it. I never heard it.
Jordan and Jeremy Lin.
Wow. Who would have
thought?
thought?
How does he not have that in his home?
I'd have all 6 of them right next to each other.
Oh, hit the super stager. And speaking of having something in your home, I'll tell you an unbelievable
Steve
story.
Sachs mural.
Better than that.
Better
not
than
the
same
Steve
story.
Sachs mural.
Let's do Super Crosstalk.
ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins. Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super.
So what do you have in your house?
Okay, it's not my house.
Okay.
So I'm buddies with Eric Karros, the old Dodger first baseman.
Karros.
And we both
Good Ross Porter.
we both spend a lot of time in Idaho. So last week I was in Idaho, and Karros and I golfed every day. So he tells me this story. Back when he was playing for the Dodgers, him and Piazza were kind of like princes of the city. They had both won Rookie of the Year. They were both young, good-looking guys, and they were kind of living their best life. So he said,
well said.
He says, one day Piazza and I get invited to go hang out at Charlie Sheen's house.
Oh.
And I went, and he goes, this is when Charlie Sheen was a big movie star coming out of Platoon, coming out of Major League. And he was an insane sports memorabilia collector.
Yes, I remember this.
He said he had like unbelievable like old jerseys and shirts and stuff. So Karras, they're at a party. They're at Sheen's house, and Karras goes to the bathroom. And in the bathroom, there's this piece of artwork where it looks like it's very colorful, and it's got a baseball stuck right out of the middle of it, and it's almost like the baseball is the heart of the piece.
Oh yeah,
but the artwork is about like something that demonish or blah. And Karras goes, God, this thing's weird. So he's just in there like going to the bathroom, and he walks out, and Charlie's outside the door. He goes, hey, let me ask you a question. I know you're a big sports memorabilia thing. What's with the goofy painting with the ball in the middle of it? He goes, you don't know. He goes, no. He goes, it's the ball that went through Buckner's legs.
Yes.
Wow.
No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's awesome.
I don't know if he still has it. Eric thought that Charlie, when he ran into some trouble later in life, sold the majority
I heard he
of his
sold it.
collection.
Somebody else, I think, bought that at some point. But I knew
he had for a while.
He also, by the way, had batting cages in his backyard.
Well, he was a high school baseball player, right?
Well, you can tell he was an 8-man out and in Major League, and he looks very natural
He looks
playing
like
baseball.
he can pull it off, but I'm having trouble visualizing. It's a baseball like incorporated into
a
work
piece of artwork. So the
but
artwork,
why a demon?
Well, not a demon. I'm not using the right word. It was like something ominous.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
Like this ball is perhaps
cursed, right?
Do you guys remember
in the restroom?
Yeah.
I love that.
It's like just a throwaway in his bathroom, and I thought that's a great story. That's unbelievable.
This was probably late 80s, early 90s when Charlie Sheen rented out the entire left field section of Angel Stadium.
I was working sidelines that night for KCAL, and I did a whole – me and him, the only two people sitting in – Cecil Fielder was trying to break the single-season home run record.
Oh, is that what it was?
The American League record.
Right.
Which I think was 61
Wow. And how many
by
seats
Maris.
were that? Was a few hundred seats?
Yeah, and at this point he had unlimited money, and he was just spending it on
remember.
sports
By the way,
stuff.
I think still has unlimited money, given that 2.5
TV
Men money.
show,
That's like
He
crazy.
was making $1 million an episode.
My mom and Not Stepdad Leo, they've got all those episodes memorized. They love 2.5 Men.
You know who else does?
Who?
Me.
Yeah.
I watch them all.
No,
Do
it's
you
good.
really?
It's good.
I think they're great.
Yeah.
I think it's Chuck Lorre's best show. He's done Dharma and Greg and that, he's done Chuck Lorre's done he's done the Big Bang Theory, and Young Sheldon, all that stuff. I think 2.5 Men's the best show he's ever
By
done.
the way, Charlie Sheen, I was invited to Steve Edwards' birthday party on the air, his show day, and Charlie Sheen showed up randomly. Apparently,
uninvited?
Well, no, he was invited.
Oh.
He was invited, but met him, and all I know is craziness, and after lost his mind after could not have been more normal, could not have been more of a regular guy. So I'd like to think that he's figured it out and he's doing great now.
Oh, okay. Trav and Slee, I want you guys to do something. Google Luka Doncic most recent photo. Okay. You guys were talking about how Luka has been out of shape his whole career. You're 100% right.
Is he getting there?
Not.
He's
look
there?
behind you. He is.
Oh, really?
Oh, he is. He looks like a different person. Somebody got to him and basically said, hey, man, your career is going to be defined by you being a pudgy, out-of-shape dude. And he somehow got in the gym with it. That's the pic, Slee, that I want you to look at right there, the one you just clicked on. Look how good he looks. Look how skinny he is.
Let me see it, Slee.
And
it's almost like it's actually
Slim Luka.
A tight fit. It's more of a tight fit shirt there
he
too.
Has no body fat anymore.
Yeah.
So he's coming.
When's somebody gonna get to Zion?
Well,
same guy.
By the way, there's another guy that I would bet. I think Luka's going to be one of the favorites for MVP this year. I don't think this guy will win MVP, but this guy's going to be All NBA for the first time this year, and he's going to be there for 10 years. Do you know who I'm talking about?
SGA?
Nope. He's already there.
He's already there.
SGA was first team All NBA last year. This guy's never been first
Anthony
team.
Edwards?
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Anthony Edwards is the next big thing. Nobody can. He's a young Iverson. Nobody can guard him.
Yeah.
And by the way, he's on Team USA.
Yeah.
And the reports out of Team USA camp where Steve Kerr is.
Yeah.
Steve Kerr says he's now in Steph's class. He's
What?
that
Wow.
He's that good.
I want to go back to something you said about Zion.
Yeah.
That whoever whispered into Luka's ear needs to whisper into Zion's
Absolutely.
ear. That
I'm still not giving up on Zion.
Don't you
I know
think,
a lot of people are.
Don't think public shaming plays a role? Like everybody last year talked about Luka. It didn't at some point they called him.
You're 100% right
Luka
about
bag
this.
of donuts at some point.
Right.
I mean, it's like, and he did look pudgy.
I think it works on some, and like some people, the public embarrassment will motivate you to put the food down.
Yeah.
To get
Others,
in the
it
gym.
might spiral you the
other
other
people,
way.
it's like, well, you're not going to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And I'm already rich. I'm already famous. I'm already this, that, and the other thing.
Right.
You don't get to tell me what to do. Pass the beignets.
Well, at least
That's the beignets.
They're pretty good.
That's what Zion's saying down in Arlen's.
At least with Luka, at least he's had great regular seasons. He's
Yes.
had great performances in the playoffs. Zion, you've seen nothing.
All right, so you
nothing,
guys, we were
nothing.
talking. Here's another good story that I can't remember if I've told this on the air. I probably have. But Mike D'Antoni's going to be mad at me, but it's too good of a story not to tell. So, in the height of Linsanity, do you remember the reason Jeremy Lin was able to go off was that Carmelo Anthony was out with an injury.
Right.
Carmelo Anthony was the highest paid player on the Knicks and one of the leading scorers. Might have even won the scoring title that year. And so Anthony comes back after Linsanity happens for 2.5 weeks. And they go out, and Jeremy Lin dribbles down and throws it to Carmelo on the wing. And Carmelo dribbles for 18 seconds, pump fakes, draws a foul, and goes to the line. And Jeremy Lin walks over to the bench to D'Antoni. And he says, Coach, screw Melo. He's not running the plays you're calling. He's not passing any of us the ball. I'm going to freeze him out. And Mike D'Antoni goes, well, Jeremy, if you do that, 2 things are going to happen. You're going to get traded, and I'm going to get fired. And he goes, don't worry about it, Coach. I got you.
Oh, no.
And he goes back out on the court, and Mike walks down to Dan D'Antoni's brother, who was on the staff, and goes, put your house on the market. We're screwed. And here's the weird thing. It's exactly what happened.
Of course it is.
It's exactly what happened. Jeremy Lin got run out of town to Houston,
Yeah.
and D'Antoni got fired.
The level of, or the lack of self-awareness in those situations will never cease to amaze me. Because I get it. He was on maybe the greatest heater of all time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
And he was trying to be a good guy for his coach.
Of course he was. But to not understand how the world works, to not understand that they've already given Carmelo Anthony how many tens of
He's got a
millions
little more
of dollars,
power than you do.
He's the one that's going to get what he wants.
Yeah.
No matter how good your 2 weeks have been, it's going his way.
Hey, can I react to something from Factor Cap?
Yes. What do you
Okay.
got?
So you did the hitchhiking question.
Did I ever
What was
pick
the?
one up?
What,
Would you ever pick up a hitchhiker?
What was the premise of it? Would
'Cause,
you ever pick one
the
up?
Second Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the anniversary yesterday. Anyway,
Yes.
I just got on it because of that.
Yeah.
And that would you ever pick up a hitchhiker?
Okay. So I've got the reverse story. So I was when I was working in Toledo on radio, I had this idea, this brainstorm. I'm going to go across the country and hitchhike everywhere. So we flew to
Were you stuck in 1970?
We-
This
well,
is
this-
the most unsafe thing I've
Yeah.
ever heard.
No, this was about 1989. Okay.
Hell no.
So what we did was we flew to New York. I was with somebody from the show. We did a show from a studio there. Then we started going across the country by hitchhiking, and a lot of it was truckers, and they were all really interesting. So basically, we went completely to Los Angeles from New York to
my
L.A.
gosh.
only hitchhiking, and it was generally with truckers.
Okay, any of those moments where this has been a huge mistake.
No.
I need to get out of the cab of this truck because this is about to go very bad.
I think truckers need company. I think we provided
Truckers
company.
need company
We provided a service. But it was a wild experience. And then every day we'd stop somewhere, and I think we had some sort of phone coupler system in those days.
So you're on the side of the road. You're at a truck stop with your thumb out saying, hey, I'm looking for a
can
ride.
I get a ride? Exactly.
Mace.
And
It
it did
worked.
it from coast to coast. Yeah, it worked.
Hypothetically,
Yeah.
you start a podcast tomorrow.
Yeah.
Truckers need company.
Oh, my God.
And all you do is you're hitchhiking all the way from New York to
recording
LA.
your conversation.
Recording your conversation. That's interesting.
Hey,
that is
Slade,
interesting.
I'm dead serious about this. Copyright that before
That
somebody
is
steals
good,
your idea.
man. That is
Well, it's
good.
technically your idea. I mean,
Yeah,
you're the
no,
one that
I'm
did
going to run with that.
How are you still alive?
It was good.
Very fair question.
By the way, truckers are nice guys.
I'm not.
What do you
Yes.
have against truckers?
What's the
do you
deal
think
with
they're
truckers? I don't
do you
understand
think you're
that. All show today.
Are you afraid of truckers?
Well, a little bit. There was a story, and I'm going by memory here, so the details are fuzzy.
Yeah.
Pretty sure there was a trucker that was snatching people.
Right.
And filing their teeth out of their heads in the back of the truck bed.
What is this? Silence of the Lambs
What
Part
the
2?
hell?
I'm not making this up. That people started disappearing, and they would eventually find the remains, and their teeth were all gone because they'd been filed
Well, there
down.
goes that podcast.
And I'm just saying that's in that community as well.
What's the name of the podcast you had?
Truckers
Need company.
Truckers need company.
Serial killers need company.
I'm just glad that you made it through and I got to meet you.
It's great. I did so much
Have you
stupid
ever
stuff.
been a hitchhiker or been picked up by or picked someone
No,
up?
the only thing remotely close in my life was I'm a huge Beatles fan, Paul McCartney fan, and some friends of mine. What are you playing, Jorge?
That's a
What
truck
is that?
idol.
Oh,
Some
that's a
trucker.
truck?
Yeah, some trucker.
Calls me one day. I'm living in Beaumont, Texas, which is like living in L.A. compared to San Francisco.
Right.
And he goes, Paul McCartney and Wings playing tonight in Dallas at Cowboys Stadium, and Southwest is having an air sale. I go, what's the air sale? $25 anywhere inside the state. He goes, let's just get on a plane and show up. I go, we don't have tickets. He goes, let's just get on a plane and show up. He
Figure
goes,
it out.
if nothing else, we'll stay out in the parking lot and we'll fly home after the concert. I go, well, it's only going to cost me $50. What the heck? So we drive to the airport. We buy our $25 one-way ticket. We fly to Texas Stadium, and we get to the airport. We take a cab. We have no money. We have no tickets. We just hang out in the parking lot. We start tailgating with people, and we start making friends, and we start talking. And by the end of it, we found a group that had 2 extra tickets, which they gave to us. They fed us. We said, we got to give you something. Let us give you money, whatever. They go, nope. Come on, you guys are fun. Whole thing paid for. Went back to the airport.
That's awesome.
Flew home. That was it.
And by the way, I don't think I'd ever do the hitchhiking thing again. Like I would never stop and pick up a hitchhiker.
Read that second headline right there.
Second headline. Trucker with traveling torture chamber admits to more murders.
That could have been you, man.
I'm just
I
saying,
survived.
You've been a
the
victim
bullet.
of the traveling torture chamber.
You dodged the bullet.
goes that
By the way, that is a great name for a fantasy football
Traveling
team.
torture chamber. It's not bad. It's not bad. Super Crosstalks brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out, that's what a hamburger is all about. We'll see you tomorrow.